great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro.
Basically going, you better say I do, and you better say it. It's like that Eddie Murphy. Clap for this.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it.
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you on this Monday, the 13th of April? Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming foxsportsfm.com. This and every show on the station is streaming, and you can watch, besides listen, on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Mark, how was your weekend?
Terrific. Had a as far as Easter goes, had a good weekend with the family. Surprised my mom yesterday. We drove down to Marco and left her a COVID-19 care package. Daughter at the door with 8 Kogel hot dogs. And if you're from Michigan, you get that. If you're not, you don't. Nice bottle of red wine and a roll of toilet paper.
Well played. Well done.
How many people are going to be giving or getting rolls of toilet paper as part of your gift for the next 6 months? Is it inappropriate at this point forward for any gift to have a roll of TP?
Mark, not only is it not inappropriate, it's downright thoughtful. I mean, let's get to the point. I've only been quote unquote shopping since this whole thing began officially once. Where you actually have a list and you go to the big store. I've done that once. Although tomorrow night, I'm going. I'm making a run tomorrow night. Final hour of the store's open, and I'm going. I'm risking it, Mark. My wife thinks I'm like going to battle. I mean, that's how scared of the coronavirus she is. She thinks that I'm literally being dropped off on the beaches, all right, and I'm avoiding gunfire, and I'm just trying to make it to land.
She would probably not be very happy with me then, because I took another job last week, and I'm not joking. Times are not good. I've lost basically all of my income. This job is
a lot of people have.
Yeah, no, and I am not complaining. I have lost pretty much everything I was making. So about 2 weeks ago, I went online and did everything necessary to be an Instacart delivery person, and I delivered groceries all day Friday. I'm not joking. Like people think you're not. You always get angry when I try to make comments about how lucrative this job is. And by lucrative, I mean you could make more standing on a street corner with a sign. And I'm not joking when I say that. And David gets angry when I bring up the fact that we're doing this right now for nothing. And I'm making no bones about it. So I got to make some cash. So I started delivering groceries on Friday. I finished the show. I told you, I said, I'm going to go deliver groceries. And you don't make great money. I probably made about $15 an hour for the day. But I did have one lady, as I was bringing groceries to her house, she just looked at me and she said, if I could get up and hug you, I would. And for everything that I did that day, that moment was worth every single second. Every single second.
Cool. That's awesome.
Tip could have been better, but I mean that was.
Come on now. I mean, she gave you a virtual hug.
A virtual hug. And you, David, I know, while the bro hug has never been your thing, and you said you came back in 2019.
Getting better.
You are a terrific, as you've claimed.
I'm a hugger.
You've never hugged me. We're men, and I would have no problem with that. But you are a hugger.
I am.
So you would have probably felt really badly if someone said, I really want to give you a hug, give that woman a hug. You would have felt inclined to say, you know what, bring it in.
I'm good. I would have looked right at her and said, I'm okay with it if you are. All right. But I would understand if she said, I'm not okay with it. All right. That's fine.
Yep.
That's fine.
One lady at the Publix told me Happy Easter 4 times. She never figured out it was the same person coming through the same line over and over and over again. Same clothes, same outfits.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Happy,
I don't want to say
she's... And I just kept saying it back to her. And to you, too. Have a terrific weekend.
That's one of two things then. That's either she's so stressed by all of this that she's not really paying close attention, or my grandfather suffered from dementia and eventually Alzheimer's, and literally if you got up from the table and we were out to eat, you went to the bathroom and he came back and he greeted you like he had never seen you before, and it was the most adorable thing. So it's one or the other, and that's okay. That's all right. But hey, I'm glad you're getting out though. See, I would love that right now. If I could,
I'm
would love
about to call Rosati's and see if they need a pizza delivery driver a few nights a week too. And I'm not joking.
No, I would do it too.
You and I have always been this way. We're very blessed, cursed, whatever you want to say, to have this job. We enjoy it immensely. We love coming on the radio. As Jason Barrett was talking about, he goes, we had him on Friday. He goes, what hosts are willing to share their lives? This is a different time. We're not breaking down games, and you and I have always had no problem with that. And you love delivering pizzas, so I don't know why you do. What I have found out about this is that I am a food snob, a self-proclaimed one. I have no problem admitting that I am.
No.
I
you
don't
proudly
ever
wear that label.
I don't ever buy frozen food. Ever. So as I'm shopping for these people, I'm in the frozen food aisle discovering all this stuff.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You have to do the shopping too. You're not just the person that picks it. See, I figured somebody in the store would do the shopping and bag it, and then you grab the bags, you put them in the car, and you deliver.
No.
You got to do the whole thing?
I love grocery shopping, first and foremost. Love it.
Oh, I understand that.
So,
but I didn't realize you got to do the whole darn thing.
But I'm in the frozen food thing going, pierogies? They have those here? Cheese and onion? Holy blank. I mean, I have had an epiphany in the frozen food section over the course of the last couple of days.
Well, and if this keeps going on, you may buy a few things that you've never bought before also. So got that going for you.
There's no doubt.
How
was your Easter, David?
It was the strangest one ever. I mean, first off, and we've joked, we're both Catholic. And now you are a little bit more Catholic than I am these days in that you go to church much more regularly. Even though if it half the time is with a gun pointed to your head, but you go. All right, it's important to your wife and your daughter, and so you go. And besides, you've said it. You think that the father's cool. All right, he's pretty cool. So you're willing to you go through the motions a little bit more so than I am. I remember it was last Easter that I went to church with my wife. And the family that we're mentoring. And as I was getting ready to leave, the lady behind me said, quote, "See you at Christmas." And I turned around and looked at her and I go, "Oh, come on, that's cold. That's cold. That's true, but that's cold."
Got that right.
And so, sure enough, I remember when we went on Christmas, I went, how many times did I go in between Easter and Christmas? I think once. Okay. But it was just weird sitting home, not going to church.
Did you?
And I understand that a few people in Collier County had one of the, they got in the car, they went to the fairgrounds, and somebody did a mass, and they were all in their cars, and you could either listen via the speakers or you could listen on the radio. So I guess a few people in the area went out, but I mean, I think the overwhelming majority of us did not go to church. Maybe we took it in online, and of all the days to not be in church, yesterday was not only weird, it was almost a bit surreal to not be in church yesterday.
It was. Did you watch church did you or your wife watch church online?
Yes. Yeah. The wife did. I heard the music.
Gotcha. Well, they didn't have any music. So, I mean, first off, the Catholic Mass without music's 35 minutes. It's fantastic. I mean,
Wow, it's the NBA of the 80s
'80s
and 90s is what you're
Yes,
saying.
David.
Fantastic.
As a matter of fact, it is. It's women's college softball.
It's
You know when
Billy-
it starts, and you know when it ends.
Wow, it's Billy Crystal and Diane Cannon. It's fantastic. All right.
So I went through all of the motions to make sure I could get it up on the big screen yesterday.
Right.
And my wife, just leaned over and gave me a big kiss on the cheek and said, "Thank you, honey." It was important to her. And the daughter was sitting. The daughter was sitting in the middle. We had our coffee, which I got to be honest. When I have my own coffee and can sit on the couch and watch church, it ain't half bad. And
Did you get dressed? Hold on. Did you get dressed? Because there were many people who online showed off their Easter outfits, even though they were taking it in from home. They wanted to even go through with the motions of getting dressed.
Not until we actually got dressed after church. It was a 9:00 mass after church.
Sure.
Pictures are posted. We did the whole thing. Got dressed up for Easter yesterday. But the dog jumped up, and Frank, you know how Frank wants attention. As long as there was a hand on him, he was happy. But he stared at the television for the entire 35 minutes. We sent a picture to my mother, which he said, she joked and said apparently he is cat Olik for the day. But Frank sat there and watched, and apparently I didn't realize this on Saturday because my wife takes this really seriously.
Yes.
She had her basket of food that we were having for Easter dinner, and did a drive-through at the church, and Father Hugh gave it the old blessing. So my wife, who had given up red wine for Lent, went and took the food we were eating to be blessed, along with a bottle of red wine.
There you go. Just
Yep. We did
just
crack
getting the okay.
Right, we did crack the first bottle, and I found out that according to the internet, which could be dead wrong, but people always joke about this Lent. When are you done? Are you done on Good Friday? Or are you done on Sunday? The wife carried it all the way through till Sunday. Apparently, for the Catholics out there, technically at the end of the Holy Supper Mass on Thursday, you're done with your Lent stuff. But the wife held it through until Sunday and did crack the first bottle of red wine yesterday at 10:45 in the morning.
A.M. Well played.
A.M.
Well played. Well done, young lady.
Yep.
Nice job by
That
you.
was our Easter around here. Hide some eggs and knock down red wine early in the morning.
It's funny, speaking of eggs, I went for a walk yesterday, and Mark, this just in, it was warm.
Oh, yes, sir.
It was warm, and not only that, I've been going middle of the day, but instead I went closer to 2:30, 3 o'clock. Whoo-wee.
The heat index may have been triple digit at that point, David.
It was warm. And when you've lived down here for 20 plus years and you say, hey, it was warm, yeah. So, but I noticed on the walk that something I've never noticed before. There were plastic eggs. There was like one at one house, one or two at another, and I'm like, the kids miss the eggs? Are you kidding me? I've never seen that before. I have never. Yes.
What was in it?
Melted chocolate.
Oh, I thought maybe there was jelly beans or something, and I wanted to know if you downed it.
No, they all knew. No, but they all had melted chocolate. I'm like, I picked up 5 eggs on the walk. And it's not like I was looking for them either. I mean, they were in clear sight. I'm walking down a sidewalk the whole time. I'm like, how could these kids miss the eggs? Mark, I don't let us open the eggs. Like, whenever I do the eggs, because I'm the one that hides the eggs. I'm the one that disperses them. The wife distracts, whether it was just our daughter, whether it was, the family we're close with that's got 3 young kids. I mean, whatever. She distracts. I do the eggs. And so I know how many there are. And so when they come back and we start counting them up, I don't want to open them unless we've got the full count. I mean, if we're one shy, I'm like, there's one out there.
Right.
That's right. There's one out there. You could leave them. I won't let anybody take them. But trust me, there's one out there. Go get
Indoor
it.
eggs around here yesterday.
Okay.
Indoor only. Don't
Fair
ever
enough.
take the chances with them.
I understand. Although you would think in your gated community that'd be a fun thing to do.
Probably, but due to the virus and everything else, it was just a home game here for the daughter.
I understand. I get it. So, but you asked how was Easter. I would think for most everyone it was the strangest, surreal, weirdest, whatever word you want to come up with. That's what it was, even for me yesterday. Because I differentiate between faith and religion. I think religion is when you go.
Right.
All right. That's how I define it. Faith you can do in the privacy of your own home and that sort of thing. And I consider myself a person of faith. I'm not a huge religion fan. All right. I think it was those experiences in college. All right. The Jesuits beat me up pretty good in class. And I always used to say, I'm paying for this.
And I'll just keep my opinions on this to myself. You saw them last night in a video that I sent you.
Right. Yes. That was quite something. That was quite something. By the way, did get an early text from the wife, in which you were talking about delivering groceries. She basically said if I were to do that job, I'd have to do it in a hazmat suit.
I wear the mask. Right. When I go to someone's door, I have the mask on. I don't wear the mask in the store, but when I go near someone's front door, I have my mask on.
I'm going with a scarf to the grocery store tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Going with a scarf, and I don't know if that's good enough.
First off, it is.
I don't have
because the masks aren't. If you've watched and paid any attention to this, the masks aren't preventing you from getting the coronavirus. The masks are preventing you, if you were asymptomatic, from giving it to someone.
Oh, but that's helpful, though. I mean, because
exactly.
Don't know.
That's what the point of the mask is. It is actually to prevent you from giving this to others.
Right. So in other words, when you're wearing the mask, you're on offense.
Yes.
All right. It's not for defense.
Yes, you are a third-round pick trying to come into the late second round. You're the guy from LSU. Where are you going as a running back? Mid-second, early second, late second, early third. You want to be a Friday draft pick, but where the hell are you going?
Exactly. Now, what kind of a draft pick am I with a scarf? When I go with the scarf, it's a very nice scarf too. It's my late grandmother's scarf. Okay. Ooh, wow. So in other words, I was really big in college. I was really big in college.
Because the scarf gives that impression that you are, like a fraternity guy, that you got the hot girl on the arm, but who knows what life's going to be post-college.
That's true. The scarf exudes. Wow. You were cool on Saturdays. All right. But meanwhile, you wear that to a locker room on Sundays, and they look at you and go, yeah, you ain't making cut down day. I'll tell you that.
It's Fred from Scooby-Doo. It's an ascot, basically. Can you still pull this off in a decade that does not call for the ascot?
I'm going to bring Grandma with me. She'll protect me. And so I will be wearing the scarf over my face.
Wait a minute, Colin's coming to the store with you? I thought he moved to Nashville.
I don't know if he has. He was supposed to in February, and then he was supposed to in March. But I don't know. I think they're still in town, actually. But yes, I should check in on that and find out. 19 minutes after the top of the hour, there was an attempt at sports yesterday. And there was, over the weekend, a couple of replays of some classic Masters in which I'll give CBS some credit. On Saturday, when they replayed the 2004 Masters, the final round, Nance went back and forth with Mickelson a little bit because obviously that was Phil's first major. And it was dramatic because he blew a lead and then shot 31 on the back nine and birdied 3 of the last 4 to win, including a birdie on 18. And of course, last year, Tiger, magical, emotional, the whole deal. Really, once again, I wonder if what it is that you saw, if you watched yesterday, that you picked up, that you had missed a year earlier. I mean, I contended a year ago, Mark, that, Tiger ham and egged it. He ham and egged it. He didn't do anything for 3 hours. Nothing. He did nothing. And everybody had passed him. Or so it seemed. And then they all fell apart. And Tiger said, well, if you guys aren't going to win this thing, I might as well. And then he threw 3 birdies up there in a 4-hole stretch, and next thing you know, he's got a 2-shot lead with 2 to play. And he's like, well, I can get the horse in the barn from here, unless one of you is going to do something dramatic down the stretch. And so, there's many different ways to win a major. But I thought yesterday it was on full display. I mean, there's not much for Nance to talk to Tiger about for the first 12 holes till he gets on the 12th tee. And until Molinari puts it in the drink, it's kind of like, oh, okay, game on now. But number 15 for Tiger. The one other thing that I go back to, Mark, is that Jack's 86 win played a few different times. It played on ESPN late last week, and then they replayed it on the Golf Channel over the weekend. And what was very telling to me in the commentary was that Venturi and Summerall were talking about this would be number 20 in terms of majors. I mean, the U.S. Amateur in 86, it was still a major. I mean, Jack's over his second shot on 18, and Venturi said this would be number 20, and it might be the most special of them all. I mean, there was no talk of it. This is 18. And so somewhere between 86 and when Tiger came on the scene in the mid to late 90s, the golf community dropped the U.S. Amateur as a major win. Because if you think about it, Tiger would have 18. He's won 3 U.S. Amateurs. It would be Jack at 20, Tiger at 18.
And obviously going way back to the first, I guess, considered great golfer, Bobby Jones, the U.S. Amateur was one of the majors. We didn't have, the PGA wasn't considered a major at that point. The U.S. Amateur was considered a major.
Well, there wasn't a Masters.
Right, but I mean, that was the most important. The U.S. Open, the British Open, and the U.S. Amateur were the 3 most important tournaments, and I believe the British Am as well. So, to your point, David, with Nicklaus in 86, but going back before that, throughout really the annals of golf, the U.S. Amateur was always thought of in that regard.
Yeah, and there were a lot of guys who, when they came on tour, you would hear the golf commentary in the 70s and early 80s in which you say, well, he's already got a major because he won the U.S. Amateur, blah, blah, blah. But notice Phil. I mean, I'm telling you, it's somewhere in the 90s, Mark. The U.S. Amateur was no longer considered a major. Because remember, Phil won the Am. But yet throughout his whole career, until he won the Masters in 04, best player to never win a major. We did not, when Tiger said hello world, after having just won the U.S. Amateur for a third time 3 days earlier, we did not consider Tiger as having already had 3 majors up on the board. So somewhere between Jack and 86 and in the next 5 years, for whatever reason, the golf world stopped considering the U.S. Amateur as a major. But that's what's really
catch it?
No.
The Horse Challenge. Mike Conley beat Tamika Catchings. Chicago Sky beat Chris Paul. And Chauncey Billups took down Trey Young. So Levine, Conley, Quigley, and Billups advance to the semifinals. That will be Thursday night, 9 o'clock. They'll do the semis and the finals all in one night, Mark.
Hey,
Thursday night on ESPN.
I have to be honest. I am happy that they announced these video problems and that they worked through them, because I don't know if you caught last week, they did the NBA 2K tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It was taped.
Really?
Oh, not just taped. What is the thing that we do now legally in this country? We gamble. And
I was going to say smoke weed, but...
Well, that too. I've been doing a lot more of that one than I have been gambling because, well, one's legal in Florida and one isn't. But apparently, I think it was it like whoever, maybe it was Garnett, and I may screw the players up, but one of the players who was in the first round matchup was considered the odds-on favorite to win the tournament. No one was betting on him. When he played his first match, all the money came in against him. And Vegas went, uh-oh, we have a problem. So, to be honest with you, when I hear that there was a problem with the horse game and it was video, good, because the gambling thing or the video game thing they just attempted was fixed. And people were winning illegally, if you will, on that. So it stinks that they had problems. It's nice to know it was legitimate.
Speaking of the NBA 2K finals, they took place, I believe, Friday night or Saturday night was the semis and the finals. Devin Booker took down his teammate DeAndre Ayton. A couple of Phoenix Suns there in the finals. Booker, the champion. Some of the news that you may have missed from the last time that we were on the air. Boy, Drew Brees has got it figured out, huh? I'm trying to remember the last time. I think you got to go back to Joe Theismann. The last time I remember a big-time quarterback who had worked out his post-playing career while still playing was Joe Theismann. Theismann led the Redskins to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, and then the very next Super Bowl was played, and Joe was in the booth. He was the color commentator on the Dolphins-Niners Super Bowl while still an active quarterback. Then Joe gets hurt the next year and goes seamlessly into the Monday Night Football booth and a 30-plus year network career. But Drew Brees signed with NBC. The bidding war came down to NBC and ESPN for Monday Night Football. Mark, ESPN can't get anybody to do Monday Night Football.
Peyton!
No.
Peyton, we're going to ask again. We're going to quadruple what we offered last time. Please.
Peyton has said no about 3 times.
Oh, at least.
And the offer has been bigger all 3 times. He'll still do those ESPN Plus vignettes, Peyton's Place, and all that stuff. He's doing that, but
just to tease them. I mean, really and truly, just to tease the ever-living hell out of them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is Joe Tessitore that bad? I mean, what could somebody, give me the reason? So they went after Romo. CBS shut the door down on that. And before he could become an unrestricted free agent, ESPN had their 10-year, $140 million offer already on the table. CBS said, yeah, you can take that with you. So they kept Romo. And now Drew Brees. Came down to NBC or ESPN's Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football may end up back on ABC. I mean, something's going to – if ESPN/ABC can't get a bigger piece of the NFL broadcasting pie in the next 2 years when this gets redone, Monday Night Football is going to go back on ABC. And yet Drew Brees said, nah, I'll go with NBC. I'll do the studio thing for a while, and when it's time for Collinsworth to be retired, then Tirico and I will do Sunday Night Football. Because Al's got 2 more years under contract. NBC has not this Super Bowl, but the next. And the thought is that Al's last broadcast is going to be Super Bowl 56, at least with NBC. And then Tirico's going to take over with Collinsworth for a few years, and then it'll be Drew Brees. Lost in all this is Brees did sign a 2-year, $50 million deal to re-up with the Saints, although his head coach slipped up in an interview and was talking as if this will be Drew's last year. And when the interviewer said, I thought he signed for 2 years, and Peyton then started doing the Fred Flintstones and Jackie Gleason thing. But so there you have it. Miko Dotson was a DB for FAU. He tied for the lead in college football last year with 9 interceptions. He's a grad transfer, and he's going to Florida State. And I will say this, and it's not like we're paying a ton of attention to what's going on in college football in the last couple months, but Mike Norvell's done a really nice job. He grouped together, by all accounts, a pretty darn good recruiting class, considering what Florida State's put up on the board in the last 3 years, and him coming in at the last minute. And he's also done okay on the transfer market.
Well, and I mean, by the time we play football in 2021, he should have a pretty good roster.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Duke's leading scorer, Vernon Carey Jr., he declared for the NBA draft. I don't know how much of a surprise that was. We had a few people, unfortunately, pass away, Mark, since we've last been on the air. Former New York Rangers and LA Kings head coach Tom Webster passed away at the age of 71. Former Cubs All-Star second baseman Glenn Beckert passed away at the age of 79. The sports world is a tight-knit community, and there's a rather well-known and popular New York Post photographer, Anthony Causi, who died of the coronavirus yesterday at the age of 48, and Doug Sanders, the first golfer, Mark, that I can recall whose wardrobes generated attention. And he won 20 times on the PGA Tour, finished runner-up in a major 4 different times. His most famous runner-up finish, he had a 2.5 to 3 footer to win the British Open. He was playing with Jack. He had him beat by a shot, and he lagged his putt up to about 3 feet at St. Andrews, I believe it was. 3 feet to win the British. And he hits it, and as soon as he hits it, he reaches out with the putter, and he missed it.
Wanted to pull the quick rake. We've all been there with that 3-footer.
Yep, and Nicklaus beat him the next day in a playoff. And Doug Sanders passed away at the age of 86. So that's just some of what took place in the sports world since we were last on the air. And that is
The Starting Five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton's Starting Five. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
21 minutes before 7 o'clock. Mark, who would you put in the booth if you're ESPN for Monday Night Football? Who's next? Luke Kuechly retired. Greg Olsen, the tight ends, decided to play one more year because Seattle threw like $8 million at him, and he said, "Oh, well, in that case, sure, I'll play one more year." Or do you go in-house? Is there somebody working at ESPN today in which you're like, why don't they give this guy a shot? Because the guys being mentioned in-house are Dan Orlovsky.
Well, that's the guy who probably would get panned the most if they gave the job and might be the best one for it. He very quickly has become highly thought of. And it's pretty interesting because a year ago he was doing this show at about this time.
Right. Regularly. 2 years ago.
Or 2 years ago. Dan was trying to get into the business.
Yep.
And Dan wanted to do interviews. So Dan started coming on our show damn near every other week.
Yeah. Whenever we asked, he came on.
And was terrific. And that was, Dan wanted to come on. He basically wanted to get reps. And
Louis
went from...
Riddick is another one mentioned. Sorry, Mark.
Who's that?
Louis Riddick is another one who's mentioned. In fact, it's been brought up that maybe Orlovsky and Riddick combined to make it a 3-man booth.
It's funny when you said that I hadn't heard that. The first thing I thought was, why not throw the two of them in there together? Because neither is dynamic, but both are really smart, and they're really good football people, and it would be an intelligent broadcast. I don't know if that works for Monday night. Monday night's supposed to be an entertaining broadcast, not necessarily an intelligent broadcast, and I don't know if you can pull off both. Can you be a super intelligent football show and still be entertaining? I don't know.
Does it matter?
My first answer to you.
Respect. I would look at the ESPN folks and go, guys, does it matter? Does it really matter? All right, the game is why we watch. If you have good matchups and or even if it's a so-so matchup, but the game starts out and it's exciting and it's compelling, we watch. And if it's not, we don't.
I actually have never had a problem with Booger. He just he may have had the worst game he had all year in the playoffs.
Yes, and everyone noticed.
And it was awful. There's no two ways about it. He had a really bad 3 hours.
Yep.
And I don't know if he'll ever recover from it.
Well, Mark, to be honest, Fox, this goes back a little more than a handful of years. Obviously, they've got Buck and Aikman as their A-team. But they didn't really have a number 2 team. And most years they have 1 week in the playoffs where divisional round where they have 2 games. So they need a second crew to do the game. And what Fox did for about 3 years was they would grade all the other teams throughout the course of the year. And they would reward the broadcasting duo that they felt had the best year that was not named Buck and Aikman. And 1 year, that booth included Brian Billick. And they had a playoff game. And Billick's broadcasting career was very much up on the rise. And they had a bad game. And it was in the divisional round. And there's only about 30 million people watching. I mean, it's no big deal, that you have an off day, 25, 30 million. And that was it. That was basically it for Brian Billick at Fox. Then all of a sudden he got slotted down further, and next thing you know, the contract came up for renewal, and we're good. We're doing okay.
And if you think about it, Billick's a good TV guy, good-looking guy. But I mean, you think about it, not a fat guy, in great shape, no gray hair at the time. You know what I mean? He had the right look. He had everything about it. And
won a Super Bowl as a coach.
Right.
Oh, no.
Has the whole pedigree to do the job and was done. So
and was on his way up. I mean, they have a good day that day. They're locked in as the number 2 crew probably going forward.
Hell, he could be on Monday Night Football after that contract, if you know what I mean.
Yes. So, but anyway, that's why the whole Drew Brees and going to NBC and for whatever reason, ABC. How do you feel, by the way, if you're Tessitore and Booger? I mean, they are shopping this job around. I mean, you're the head coach who's still under contract, and they're interviewing other people on campus while you're going to your office.
Be more worried if I was Tessitore, believe it or not, because they're going to put Booger right back on the SEC network, let him host the game day. He's got a niche with the college football fan. They like him. He'll be just fine. Now, maybe never get the contract that he did with Monday Night Football, but he could make a nice long run on the SEC network. Tessitore might as well be done. He might as well say, I'm Beth Mowins and I'm doing noon ESPN2 games.
Nah, he'll either, especially if he gets replaced in-house by Steve Levy, he'll either take Levy's place doing that midday game on ABC Regional, or he could be back doing the ESPN2 game. You got McDonough and Blackledge doing the 7:30 ESPN game, and he'll be doing the ESPN2 game with someone.
We will have
same time slot.
We will have our poll question on the other side. It is football, Dolphin, and quarterback related.
Look at that.
It's all that matters these days. We are approaching the draft. 11 days away.
10
days away.
Week from Thursday.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm getting very gooberish.
Are you? Good for you.
Yep. Miller and Moulton, 14 minutes before the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
He's the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians. Now, how do you work with Brady remotely?
It's going to have to be creative. The beautiful thing of technology now, being able to have everything on computers. And it's a lot easier for a really smart guy to learn something new than 20 other average learners to learn something else. And it's a lot easier for Tom just to switch some verbiage.
Dan Patrick.
The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Gulf Shore Business wants you to vote for the best in Southwest Florida. Go online to GulfShoreBusiness.com to see the ballot highlighting locally owned and operated businesses. Vote for the best in these categories: business, finance, and insurance, legal, marketing, commercial, building and real estate, business services, and dining and drinks. We all have our favorites. Don't miss your chance to support yours. Voting ends at midnight on April 15th. It's the best in business, presented by GulfShoreBusiness.com. That's GulfShoreBusiness.com.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Cortec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec Wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floormeisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Our service and parts departments are open for business. Now's a great time to bring your vehicle in for service at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams in stock. 2019 Ram 1500 Tradesman. Now just $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month. And you own it with interest-free financing for 84 months. Qualifying purchases with no payments for 90 days. Almost every 2020 Jeep Wrangler at friends and family below invoice pricing. Best of all, at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers, we offer at-home test drives and at-home delivery at your convenience. That's right, 0% APR financing for 84 months on new Rams, Jeeps, and Dodges, plus at-home test drives and at-home delivery. Call today, drive today at Galliana Chrysler Dodge.
Can I have a little quick COVID-19 chat with you?
On US 41 in Fort Myers, open every day including Sunday. Call 239-481-26.
I'm asking
on
you
air?
No, right now. Just a legitimate, quick, serious question.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. All right, I just want to make sure. 2 weeks ago, you were like, hey, Florida's the hot spot.
Do the math.
Right.
And nothing really happened. Now, again, they're saying Miami this week, right? Is that – because I've not watched all the news. I'm merely asking you a question. Are they worried about the other coast this week now? Because it's been kind of a constant that they're trying to figure out when the east coast of Florida is going to be the new hotspot. Is that a factual statement, yes or no?
I don't know anymore. I've heard D.C., I've heard Philly, I've heard Miami. In terms of the,
Right, like, I mean, on Friday, because I literally pull it up, the number of deaths versus the number of the country deaths. We were at 2.2% of the deaths on Friday. We're 2.08 as of this morning. Even though there was a lot of deaths over the weekend, there are less in Florida. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out, and I can't. Because it seems like for 2 weeks they've said Florida.
Has missing parts
Right.
became damaged. Trying to save a few
Well,
bucks can end up costing more. My shower door.
It's either not going to be as bad as they thought, or it hasn't hit us as
Right,
hard
and
as they think.
That's all I'm, and like I'm not trying to be a smartass with this. I'm trying to. Were they wrong? Is it the weather? Like I don't know. Like I can't sit and watch.
Well, I thought I saw something late last week in which the whole hot heat thing was pretty much debunked.
Correct. All right, mute.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Minutes before 7 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Please sign up for those, even though that there are other ways that you can take in the show. Some of those other outlets may go away here shortly. So the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels, we advise you to sign up for them. They are free, after all.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to start giving stuff away for new subscriptions to both. That's my goal. I got a lot of Blue Emu.
Well, you seem to act as if that's like a real enticement, though. This isn't like Sports Illustrated, and if you order right now, you can get the fleece. Okay, you're offering up Blue Emu.
What was the best thing you ever got for a SI subscription?
I think the fleece.
The fleece?
Yeah. First off, it bothered me forever because I was a longtime SI subscriber, and you didn't get anything for
Correct.
that. Well, it's like, whoa,
Correct.
Hey,
I've been here for 20 years, and you're giving fleeces away?
Right, and not only that, look at the deal you're offering the new subscribers there. They're paying less than I am, and you're giving them free stuff. And so I called up one time. I had a couple in me, and I called up, and then they said, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I said, well, then cancel my subscription. No, cancel it. Give me a refund right now. Nope,
and then I'm going to call tomorrow. I'm going to get a fleece.
I did. No, I waited until I got all my money back. It took about 3 weeks, and then I saw one of those great orders, and I said, you know what? Wow, that's really cheap. And I get a fleece. So, yeah, that's what I did. Absolutely.
Anyone out there surprised at all by this? Anyone?
Hey,
Bueller?
Hey,
Bueller?
Come on now. It's like the credit card offers. All right? I mean, there's this one card. It was like my first credit card. I've been 30 years. I've had this credit card. And so you call up and you're like, hey, I keep hearing, if people sign up for this card, they get this. I'm not getting this. I got good credit. I mean, I don't have any money, but I got credit.
You keep telling us.
Yeah, I'm Ron Glass from Barney Miller. I mean, I don't have money, but I got credit. And, so I've canceled a card or two in my day and then waited for one of those airline offers when you're sitting on a flight. We'll give you 2 million miles if you spend $3,000 in the next 90 days. I can do that. All right, where do I sign? All right, get to the poll question.
Very simple. 10 days away is the draft. And when pick number 5 comes.
Well, first off, I really want to know, because this could determine whether or not I do the rest of the show. I want to know how our Friday poll question ended up.
Oh.
If double stuffed lost to original Oreos, I'm done, just so you know. You'll finish the show today. I'll need to lay down. I may start drinking at 7 a.m. How could double stuffed Oreos lose to the original Oreo?
Well,
Please tell me that.
First off, because when you say original, usually it's better. But unfortunately, David, there are a few people out there who don't understand that. And in a battle, I mean, epic battle, double stuff with 52.8% of the vote.
Yes.
Comes through.
Nice. I knew Miami-Dade counties would come in.
And that's really, it was a longer poll question. This probably would not have happened. It was some gerrymandering, and we added in one part of the electoral that was not supposed to be there. But double stuff did sneak through, David.
Well, it always comes down to Miami-Dade counties versus the Panhandle. It always does.
But today, it's very simple. We go back to that coast. We go back to Dade County. Should the Dolphins draft Tua?
Yes!
Absolutely no injuries scare me.
Absolutely.
Or I could just put yes or no.
Absolutely. Of course they should draft him.
I agree.
Of course they should draft him. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
could not agree more.
He was the number 1 pick of the draft 6 months ago. He was going ahead of Joe Burrow 6 months ago.
You didn't even know who the hell Joe Burrow. I mean, let's go back a year in time. Who out there was talking about Joe Burrow last July, last June, last August? You didn't even know who the hell Joe Burrow was.
Mark, I've watched a few old broadcasts here recently. You could go back to mid-October. Joe Burrow was still not being hyped up for the Heisman much. He was being casually mentioned. Do you know what the battle for the Heisman was in mid-October? And LSU obviously had gotten off to the good start. They'd won a couple of big games early. Yeah.
Was there a battle?
It was Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. That was the Heisman. Right?
1 minute.
And maybe even a little Fields at Ohio State. And then heading into the Alabama game, it was, if Joe Burrow outplays Tua and LSU beats Alabama, maybe he'll be the front runner for the Heisman. So, yes, you draft Tua. Absolutely, positively. And if I lose this, well, I may need a day off.
That's fine, because I'll take it with you. We'll both deliver groceries.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll go buy me a hazmat suit. I think it's the only way the wife will let me out of the house.
She told me she wants me to get one as well. I'll do what I can. Got the mask. Don't know what to tell you. Radio doesn't pay. Let's go deliver groceries. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for joining us right here on Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports! Guys, the physicians and staff at Center for Men's Health want you to know that C4MH.com is open and will remain open through this entire ordeal. C4MH.com has taken a multitude of steps to make their offices the safest places they can be. And here's a few examples that make that statement a fact. C4MH.com treats all offices with Microban 24, the most advanced antivirus disinfectant available today. And unlike any other disinfectant, Microban 24 kills viruses for 24 hours after application, touch after touch. The staff wears level 1 procedure masks, and you can have one too. They monitor their temperatures.
You got it. Do me a favor
for you when you walk in.
You
got to
get a little. You got to get a little wink on. She's in a jumpsuit today.
And when you walk in, you will use hand sanitizer. C4MH.com,
Lauren, whatever the main anchor, is in a jumpsuit,
so that both their staff and patients remain safe.
I'm
safe
on.
Is the way it's always
She's in a
been
jumpsuit,
at
David.
C4MH.com.
It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
Because I'm a patient there too.
That's all I got. Go get a coffee. Go get a
Alexa,
data.
play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
LeBron has shown his greatness. Kevin Durant's a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say, Alexa,
hello.
Play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
We are Fox Sports!
These are unprecedented times, so now Gulf Shore Life magazine is making an unprecedented offer. For a limited time, subscribe to Gulf Shore Life for just $12 for an entire year. That's 12 issues of the stories that will inspire you to stay Gulf Shore strong. It's our way of saying thank you for supporting local journalism. Call now, 498-8501, 498-8501.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 103.3 Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports!
Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com. There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug groove.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, the 13th of April. How was your Easter weekend, or Passover weekend, as the case may be? It was different, wasn't it? It was weird, surreal. It was, one of those little milestones that have taken place here in the last 30 or so days in which you're like, wow, this is real. We are really like not in contact with a whole lot of people here. This really is isolating, isn't it?
I'm starting to really enjoy when people who play music that I know go on Facebook Live, and I can sit there with people I don't know and watch someone play guitar and sing. My wife and I sit there, watched a guy that I know on the other coast for an hour last night. Had a bottle of wine, watched Scott play guitar. Like, oh, this is great. I'm requesting songs and getting really excited when he plays one. That's what it's come down to, because you can't get right now. We have not, like, you jumped into Ozark with your wife. My wife and I largely have just said, let's just keep the TV off.
All right.
We have gone.
Good luck with that.
We've gone dark.
And that's cool. That's good. More time together, actually communicating with one another, and obviously working the daughter in, and more family time. And I filled in over the weekend and did a Sirius XM show. And the poll question that I had was, it's been 30 days. I was just asking you as a sports fan. I was not asking, Mark Miller, the individual. I was just asking Mark, the sports fan. How you holding up? It's been 30 days since the sports world had shut down at the time that I filled in. And I gave 3 answers. Surprisingly okay, which actually won.
That's where I'd be.
Around 40% of the vote. 38% of the vote was starting to struggle. And then 22% was put a fork in me, I'm done. So that's where it was. And then obviously this is a national audience, and it gets, a few hundred responses during the show anyway. And so it was 40%, 38%, 22%. 40% surprisingly okay. And I said to those 40%, of which I consider myself one of them, I'm still doing okay. My wife, not so much. But I'm still doing okay. But remember, we're just 30 days in.
Well, and we're 2 weeks behind your wife.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, that's the other side of this, is that depending on where you are, also goes along with when you began to take this as seriously as you are now, because everybody has a different answer to that, and none of you are wrong. I mean, if you jumped on board a little late, there were a lot of us that did that. Very few of us were like your wife, who was way ahead of this and was, in this case, the smartest person in the room, so to speak. But with being the smartest person in the room means your quarantines lasted at least 14 days longer than anybody else's out there. So your stir crazy level is getting there more quickly than ours is.
Right, and your anxiety level is a little higher. The other thing we're talking as sports fans, but then obviously there's just us as individuals. It appears, are going to try to open up. Society will attempt to open up before the sports world will. I mean, there are a lot of times in which it is the irony, Mark, in that the sports world shut down before society did. But society will try to open up before the sports world will. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. It will be, to me, the great unknown of all of this, David, is what if the NBA kept on for another week? I really wonder where we'd be. I truly do, David. Because the NBA in this country, I watched an interview with a doctor on CNN, and he said, my phone started ringing when the NBA shut down. My family members started contacting me when the NBA shut down. He didn't mean the general public. He meant the people that he knew that were close to him that hadn't really reached out. The NBA shut down, and they went, Cousin Joey over there is an expert in this. We better ask him what's going on, because this might be serious. The NBA has quit playing games.
Well, and remember, the NBA shut down because one of their players tested positive. I mean, they didn't just shut down because they got a call from Fauci or Birx. I mean, they shut down because Rudy Gobert had tested positive. And Adam Silver came to the conclusion that, well, I don't see how we can go forward. I mean, just follow his path over the last 100 hours and all the different places he's been and all the different people he's come in contact with. And our buddy John Forsland, the play-by-play voice there in Carolina, he ends up having to be quarantined because he ends up having the same hotel room as Rudy Gobert. And so they don't know if he's been infected or not. And so he ends up spending the first couple of weeks of the NHL shutdown in quarantine and seeing whether or not he's going to test positive or not. But that's my guess, Mark, is that while sports ended up because of the night of March 11th, the NBA, and then the very next day when every single sport systematically shut down, conference by conference in college basketball, and then the PGA Tour, and from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. went from we're going to have the players with crowds and the whole deal, and by 3 o'clock it was like, yeah, we're done. We're done. At lunchtime, we were going to play the rest of the tournament without crowds. And by 3 o'clock, the players looked at him and said, well, I don't know about you, but I'm heading home. You guys can do whatever you want. So, and that was on March 12th, and here we are on April 13th. So I do find the irony that sports, I think, helped shut down the country. But the country is going to try to open up, I think, before sports will. There was something that took place yesterday on the other side of the world. The Taiwan Baseball League began their season. They played a game, no fans. One game, 11 innings, took over 4 hours. So apparently, Mark, all right, slow play is not just here in the States.
Well, when you lick your hands, then you need a towel.
They apparently had robotic fans that were stationed throughout the stadium that you could, I don't know, they pressed a button and all of a sudden like drum banging occurred. And so they wanted to create some noise so that the players would not, I don't know, feel as if it's a little bit more normal. But there was no one in the stands, but they created some fake noise at various times during the game.
All right. For comedic relief, I think they should allow a couple dozen fans, like one a section.
Right.
Like, how much fun could you have being told, listen, you cannot curse. Say
How about doing the wave?
Anything you want, but you can't curse. And yes, the first guy starts the wave. It would be very much like Major League. Yes.
The wave goes section by section.
Correct.
So, that's just, there's Charlie over there. He did it. My turn. Do the wave. Right.
Like every college team yells things back and forth, whether it's colors, go Dogs, go Gators, whatever it may be.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they're only going to let a few people in these stadiums, they need to let college softball teams in.
I'm fine with it. You need to let the guy, Mr. Marlin, needs to be at games.
That's fine.
Matt Asen needs to be at games.
I'm all for it. But if we're letting in like one group of 15 or 20, have it be the college softball teams around the country because they can chant better than anyone in sports.
Yes. And I think they should let like your buddy Hornon in just so they have somebody to throw out of a couple games.
Well,
and the one guy being a jerk, and then they have to then they bring him out from 6 feet away. Just kind of lasso him and drag him out of the place.
And one concession stand open.
Well, no, not one concession vendor. I know the guy. If you're a Michigan sports fan, it's the guy at the Tiger Stadium. He's probably about 120 now. Cold beer here. And just that chant. He can walk around with 3 beers on there. It's all he needs.
So in Taiwan yesterday, they began their baseball season. And so we'll pay attention to that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, let's face it, other countries are opening back up here, but they've been in lockdown far longer than us. and we're all curious as to how this is going to go. And obviously, we've been having some fun here. If I could get serious for 1 second. Mark, to me, this is the question that the leagues are going to have to answer before they try to start back up. What are we going to do when someone tests positive? Because the odds are that if you start back up, no matter how much you try to control the environment, someone associated with what we're doing, a player, a coach, an official, a trainer, and someone working in the arena, whatever, somebody is going to test positive. These leagues need to determine what it is they're going to do once that happens. Does that mean you just take that person and isolate them for 14 days and you keep on keeping on? Or is that going to mean you freak out and you shut down? Now, if I'm running the league, I would look at the players and I would say, we got to treat this like a nursing home, a senior center. And when someone tests positive, now, whether we should or not is a different story, but we don't evacuate the whole center because one person tests positive. We take that person out of the equation. And then we may test everyone and hope, and hope for the best. But we keep on keeping on. To me, in all seriousness, that's what these leagues, the PGA Tour, what happens if a golfer or a caddy tests positive after they start back up, NHL, NBA, they need to answer that question before they open up.
And David, unfortunately to me, as well thought out as what you said was, there's a couple of problems that I have. If it's the athlete, I'm okay with it. What you're saying makes sense. But the golf part of it, if it's a caddy, what about the TV production people that are going to be shooting this? What about the office workers? See, the millionaire athlete that gets infected, while it could be just as dramatic, I don't know if we think of them in the same light as we think of, the everyday American who's grinding for their money. Because in order to pull off all these events, and this is where I have been struggling, because I have said for weeks, David, if you polled the NFL players, I think overwhelmingly they say, let's line up and play. I need my money.
Yeah.
There'd be 5-10% that wouldn't, that would just say, no, it's not worth it to me. But what about you? What about all those what about all those camera guys? You guys aren't millionaires. I'm not talking about Troy and Joe that are on the same damn contract as the players. You're not. The camera guy isn't.
No.
But I mean, you guys are everyday Americans, and there are a lot of everyday Americans that are responsible for putting on these big events. And how do we have the comfort level of all of those folks in order to be able to pull it off? That's the part I've struggled with, David, because to me, the athlete part is really damn easy.
Okay, I've thought about this. And not to bore you and go through it, but I've been going on these hour walks midday every day, Mark. And I don't know about you, but, you got to think about something.
Haven't downloaded a lot of podcasts yet, is what you're telling me.
No, I don't go out with any music or any podcasts. I just go out with me. I don't go out with any electronics except my phone. And in a nutshell, though, but I just don't do the headsets. I know you're looking at me because I could plug into my phone and listen to all this stuff.
I don't go. No, I just don't. Just the comment. I don't go with any electronics except my phone. That's the only thing I had a problem with, David. I knew exactly what you meant. It's just the way the sentence was delivered that I went, did he just listen to what he said? Sorry, go on.
So I've thought about this, though. I actually did the numbers in my head. If I'm the NFL, I would say to my television networks, listen, if we're going to test all our people, but you got to test all your people. And in theory, if I'm running the NFL, I would say, and you got to test them before every game. Now that's assuming that this 15-minute test mark that they're talking about.
Right.
But here's the deal. In a nutshell, Fox, the number of NFL games they do and the number of college football games they do, and with the number of people that are average on every game, and it's roughly 75 to 80, you just got to take my word on this. To test everyone the day before every NFL and college broadcast, that would be 16,000 tests. Now, I don't know how much these tests are, but quite frankly, if I'm the NFL, I don't care.
It's immaterial, David. To be brutally honest, it's immaterial what the test cost for the return on investment to getting your product on air. There is no way you could tell me anything differently.
Well, right. And, I mean, Fox is spending about $1.5 billion a year between Thursday Night Football and Sunday Football. And I believe my math is correct, Mark, in that if it's 16,000 tests, if the tests were $1,000 a test, which I don't think they are, but if they are $1,000 a test, that's $16 million. In the grand scheme of things, to broadcast a season of NFL and college football, $16 million to Fox is nothing.
Chump change, really is. No. I'm with you.
But if I'm the NFL and I'm these colleges, these commissioners, I'm like, hey, we're going to have to handle our end of the deal, but that means you got to handle your end of the deal. For CBS, it'd be about $14 million for the number of games they do for college and pro and CBS Sports Network and all that. So it'd be 14,000 tests for CBS. It'd be 16,000 for Fox. And then obviously you got ESPN and you got NBC and all that. But you know what I'm talking about. For them, for the broadcasters, what you brought up, like me, somebody like me, A, you're concerned about me getting it, but also B, you're concerned about me ruining the equation here and me bringing it.
Yes.
Right. So that's the number of people who would need to be tested for a season.
Okay, and I'm telling you, I'm just telling you, as much thought as you're into it, up it by 20% minimum in the number of people because of stadium officials. I know there's no crowd, but you still need people to run clocks and scoreboards and off-ice officials as they were in hockey. I mean, there just are other people involved. So I think your number, even if you did your best guesstimate, it's probably 20% low.
Well,
and that's all right,
remember, but that's just Fox and CBS.
No, I got you.
This is where the league has to take care of the people you just mentioned.
I got you. That is assuming one thing, David, and I do think that it's a fair assumption, is that everybody's comfortable with working. You're just talking about the expense. There's also the part going, your wife going, yeah, you're not traveling all over the country right now and coming home. It's not happening. And I'm not saying that she would, but I am just saying that there are people, there's more to this than money. Because if it was just a money thing, in all seriousness, David, if it were merely a money thing, everything would be open. We wouldn't have shut down at all.
Well, I don't think in this case it'll be a money thing. I don't think it will be the cost of the test.
No.
If anything, it'll be, can we get our hands on the tests, on enough tests, right? Number one. What is it you're trying to say?
No. David, throw the test out of it. You still have to have the human element that you have to commit.
See, I think you're overstating that. Because quite frankly, Mark, if I don't go, there'll be another person who look just like me that will go. It's same with the players. All right? If a player doesn't want to play, they'll go get another one that'll play. So I think you're overstating that. They will not have trouble filling rosters, there won't. I mean, there are so many people lined up to do all of these jobs that they will not have a problem. If Joe Buck wants to stay home, Tom Brenneman will be there 10 minutes later.
And David, you're right. Up until someone gets it. Up until what you're talking about happens. Because I believe you're speaking under the assumption that we're going to go on and people aren't going to get it and we're going to move forward. And I certainly hope that's the case. But there are a lot of folks out there that think that when we open up, it's inevitable that a lot more people will get this virus again. And once that happens and there's a second wave, everybody's not going to be in a rush to jump on a plane and go somewhere and work.
Well,
and I'll be the first one in line to work. I'm one of those that I would probably more risky than most. I am just saying that if God forbid a second wave happens, I don't think people are going to be eager. Players, broadcasters, guys running the chain gang are going to be that eager to run out and work if people are dying. That's all. I mean, not much.
I hear you, but it is the question that to me, if you're these leagues, this is the question you have to answer first, and then you can potentially go forward. Because what you just brought up, Mark, is the scenario. If they go forward and some people start testing positive, and or there is that little bit of a second wave that's been talked about in the fall that happens during these pandemics, well, are we going to shut down, or are we going to persevere through the wave? That's what I think you have to decide before you go forward. Miller and Moulton. The draft's in 10 days. They're going forward with it. That we know. Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, will join us coming out the other side to talk about the Browns, who still have some money to spend and maybe getting themselves a new defensive lineman one way or the other by using that money. Andy Baskin on the other side. Keith Smith will join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk about the NBA, who had their horse challenge last night, and they'll have the semis and the finals on Thursday. What is it the NBA is thinking of in terms of a return? And Brian Costello will join us in a little more than an hour, as we'll preview the Jets and what are they going to do in the upcoming NFL draft. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
I do not believe we're going to have NFL OTAs. Those are in late May. My opinion has always been best case scenario is July. At this point, I do think we'll have an NFL season. If you're a new coach with a new system, with a young quarterback, and you can't meet, what a massive disadvantage.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Are you a music and technology lover? Indulge your senses with a visit to the best audio, video, and technology showroom in Southwest Florida. Epic Audio Video, located at the southwest corner of Pine Ridge Road and US 41. Specializing in home audio, theater, and automation systems from top manufacturers such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Sonos, Hunter Douglas, Bowers & Wilkins, and others. Visit their showroom for a hands-on experience and speak to one of the technology specialists today. EpicAudioVideo.com.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
We're here, we're open, and we're on a mission to make a difference at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers. Our service and parts departments are open for business. Now's a great time to bring your vehicle in for service. And right now, you can buy a new Galliana Kia with 0% financing for 72 months, plus no payments for 120 days. 2020 Kia Soul or 2020 Kia Forte. Lease for just $99 per month. That's right, a new Kia Soul or Forte for $99 per month. Want to sell or trade your car fast? Go to GallianaKia.com and submit a trade valuation request. In minutes, we'll make you an offer to buy your car, even if you don't buy a car from us. And we'll come pick it up.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
We're here, we're open, and we're on a mission to make a difference at Galliana Kia, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort
We do have a texter that's curious of your wife's opinion on your solo walks.
What do you mean?
You leaving the house? She okay with
that?
that?
No, yeah, she is.
That's all.
She knows I'm not coming in contact with her. She's terrified of me going to the grocery store.
Commercial building and real estate,
especially with all the Publix employees that have tested positive here in the last few days.
Voting ends at midnight on April 15th.
So,
it's the best in business.
Yeah.
Presented by GulfShoreBusiness.com.
That absolutely terrible.
That's GulfShoreBusiness.com.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
Pool need a checkup? Call the
Mark,
doctor.
should
The
see
Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark
what
here.
Julie is
LED
like,
color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light
garage,
shows. You can see how
and
dramatic
I
it
take
really
the
is
food
on our
out.
website.
I never
We're a
touch
family
the
company,
food.
and for over
Like
40
I take the
years,
wrappers
we've
out, I
been
open up the
The
wrappers.
prescription is the
She
Pool
brings
Doctor for
things
award-winning
out
pool
in the
service,
garage.
repairs, and unheard of
Like
$49 diagnostic calls.
Okay.
That's mypooldoctor.com
Oh.
or
Oh, yeah.
239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner
buy
of Four Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added
Look,
several new colors of
none of us
Cortex
can
to your
afford a
great lineup
goddamn
of
hazmat
products at the
suit right
store.
now, okay?
Tell
Let's
us
get
more
down to
about
what's
that.
We
important.
just ordered 5 new colors.
None of us have
of
any money.
Cortex
We're all
for
going
our
broke.
stock.
We
All
can't afford
nice,
hazmat
light,
suits.
beautiful colors
We're going to be
for
eating
Southwest
ramen noodles
Florida.
in
That'll
2
bring our
weeks.
total
We're eating
of
ramen noodles
55
in 2
colors
weeks.
of
Take it
Cortex
easy.
in stock every day for purchase.
As long as we have a
And it's
pool,
not
that's
just the
all
many
that
colors
matters
of
anymore.
Cortex that you have. You also have other Cortex products as well.
We also carry the Cortex Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Cortex, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Cortex wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online. FloorMeisters.com. That's FloorMeisters.com.
No matter
In the
where
next
you're
20
going,
minutes.
with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's
She's
largest
going
toy
to
inventory
drive
with
to a
300
mailbox
products
and mail out the
nationwide.
letters
Local Towboat
to
US
A
companies
from
in
the car
Charlotte,
and
Lee,
get
and
out.
Colorado
Got your caller.
here to help 24/7,
Oh, we have a guest.
365
Yeah,
days a
Andy
year.
Baskin.
Inland, the
Oh,
River
good. I
to
got
Waco,
one. I got one for him.
75
All right, I
nautical
gotta get
miles. And new membership pricing starts as
Tell
low
her
as
good luck.
$99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water. Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Nearly halfway home on this Monday, the 13th of April edition of Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Streaming this and every show on the station at foxsportsfm.com, and Miller and Moulton broadcasting live every single show on YouTube and Twitch TV. We will have an NFL draft special on Twitch TV also. First and second rounds of the draft, Mark and I will be doing live throughout on our Twitch TV channel that is appropriately named Miller and
And I'm encouraging, because Miller's going to drink during it. I'm encouraging Moulton to have a few beers. This is not radio. This is going to be different. This is going to be fun.
It will be, and I love the draft. So does Andy Baskin of 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. You can follow Andy on Twitter at Andy_Baskin. Andy, before we get going, how are you and the family doing during all this?
We're doing good. We're hanging in. We haven't killed each other yet, so that's the big thing. If we could just get the tweet, which, by the way, I feel like we're doing 15 times a day, it'd be good. That's the only thing, little hiccup in our system here at the house, is just getting the tween to do some dishes.
All right, here's the bigger question I have. Who's teaching? Because I know you have kids. And my wife's a veterinarian, so she has to work every day pretty much. So I am the kindergarten teacher of our 5-year-old daughter. Who is the teacher at the Baskin household?
So I got to tell you, my daughter's school is really good. I mean, I feel like she's doing more now than she actually did when she goes to her school. She's on Zoom all the time, and I feel like her class schedule has been pretty normal. And she keeps saying, Dad, I have more homework now than I did, if we were sitting in a classroom. Our son is kind of in and out. So I would say the best teacher that we have in our house right now is probably the Xbox.
Our son is kind of in and
Quote,
out, quote,
in and
unquote.
Out. Nice. That's a heck of a scouting
Kind of
report
in and
right
out.
there. Yep.
It's not a great shout out for our school system that he's in right now.
Rollerblades. I know he likes hockey. Rollerblades, Andy. Let's get him skating. That's all we've got left.
He's killing it in phys ed right now. Killing it.
hopefully it's one of those where you get an A in. It's not just satisfactory or unsatisfactory.
Unfortunately, one of the problems is the teachers keep drinking on the job. So if they would just stop doing that, we'd be okay.
That's a problem. That is a problem. Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Andy_Baskin on Twitter. All right, Browns, they've got a first, they've got a second, they've got 2 thirds. So they've got 4 picks in the top 100. The first one right now is number 10. Are they locked in at offensive tackle at number 10, or is there a chance for it to be someone else?
The only other person most of us believe it could be is Isaiah Simmons. If Isaiah Simmons is sitting there at 10, which I think it's a pipe dream if he's there at 10. But if he's there at 10, that would be the other guy they would take. So if all the offensive linemen are gone by then, which I don't think they will be, then they would maybe trade back. But those, I think, are the options right now for the Browns. It's Isaiah Simmons, one of 4 offensive tackles, or trade back.
Last was a disaster. Expectations were, as you look back upon it, far higher than they probably should have been. How has the offseason been, Andy? How have this group of Browns been able to handle failing for the first time when there was actually reasonable expectations of them?
So I think with, the change with John Dorsey leaving and Andrew Berry coming in, I think they've been able to kind of turn the page on last year. Now, the one person who truly needs to turn the page is your quarterback, Baker Mayfield. So he needs to be better this year than he was last year. And, I think when it comes down to it, the Browns showed signs of life throughout the season last year on the first drive of the game, time in and time out. And then things would fall apart after the scripted plays were over. So was it Freddie Kitchens? Was it Baker Mayfield? Who knows? Who knows what the issue was? But I think with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry running the show right now, at least in the offseason, I think things seem to have mellowed out and that they have a plan. It feels like there's some adults in the room. It feels like that they're making good decisions. They made a lot of good decisions in free agency. And they're still, they're still kind of trying to feel this thing out. The only glaring need they have next year without having to build depth is left tackle. They need to find a left tackle. But if you look at some of the free agent moves they made, they're pretty stellar. I mean, Jack Coughlin coming in on the offensive line to play right tackle. They did something that I think they needed all season last year, and that's bringing a fullback. A fullback when they traded for Andy Janovich. So there are some good things going on with the Browns right now, and then we'll see how they fill in the rest of the defense. They've made some moves over there as well.
Well, I do like the fact if they're going to keep Conklin at right tackle because we have a friend of the show, Pat Kerwin, who says you don't sign a free agent and ask him to do something he hasn't already done. And Conklin's been a right tackle, so I hope the Browns just plug him in at right tackle, and there you go. How likely do you believe it is that the Browns do something big with either Clowney or a trade with Jacksonville for Ngoku? Do you think that the Browns would give up their second and the first of their third-round picks for Ngoku from Jacksonville, a 25-year-old defensive lineman? Or, I keep waiting for the Browns to cut Olivier Vernon and sign Clowney. Vernon's counting $15 million, Andy, against the cap. So what if you give Clowney 18 or 20? I mean, you get a much better player for essentially $3 to $5 million.
So I wonder, they brought in Adrian Claiborne, too, from Atlanta. Now, he's not obviously out there to be a starter. He's in for spells. But if they believe that Vernon was hurt last year and that he's a lot better than what he was, and it'd be interesting to see if they play that out that way because obviously it's a different regime. And I know that, they've spent a lot of time talking about how we don't care who brought somebody in. Once they're with us now and we're here, everybody's a Cleveland Brown. But Olivier Vernon seems to fall into this black hole of outer space of what's going to happen into the future. I think you're right. I think a lot of us look at it the same way with Vernon, that if they can ship him out and bring in somebody better, why wouldn't you, especially if it's only for like $1 million or $1.2 million more? The question then becomes, what kind of a long-term deal can you do with Clowney? That's a big point. The other one is the Trent Williams kind of situation there that I just don't think – I don't get it. I don't understand the whole Trent Williams thing. If the Browns could have brought him in, it would have been nice to bring him in. But I don't think they want to pay the asking price. And I wonder at what point does Washington have to say, we're going to let him go? I mean, they could sit it out the whole year and say, all right, well, we're going to hang on to him. We'll let him eat it. And then let's see what kind of money he can get next year after being out of the league for 2 years and, and missing a lot of the season from his last year in the league. So it's kind of an enigma. I don't know what's going to happen with Trent Williams. I'm seriously starting to wonder what Washington thinks his value is and what they're going to be able to get back for him. Yeah. And if it's more fun for them just to eat it, just to let him sit out and not play.
Well, I don't know how it could be more fun, but Andy, I think you're on to something. And I do think when the Dolphins traded Tunsil, they got an overinflated opinion of what Williams was worth there, and they can't factor in age and 2 first-round picks and everything that went on with Tunsil because that trade was so bass-ackwards on the Dolphins or on Houston's part that it screwed up the whole order for what a tackle's actually worth, no matter what age he is. At the end of the day, do the Browns know what they want, though, Andy? Because you're talking about drafting the left tackle, trading for a left tackle. If a defensive guy's there, or going to get a Clowney. I mean, it seems like they're almost polar opposites of what they want. Do they know what they want?
Yeah, I think that they go into this draft thinking we need to get a left tackle at number 10. And if for some reason Isaiah Simmons is still sitting there, then we'll do it. Unless they have somebody rated out differently. Now, they had Andrew Berry spoke last week, and they don't seem to care if someone played right tackle in college. They think, and Andrew Berry said this last week, and it was one of his big lines, was a tackle is a tackle. So they don't care if someone played right tackle in college and left tackle, which is, if Tristan Wirfs is still there, there's a guy that split time on both sides. And, I would think that if Wirfs is there at 10, they would take Wirfs. But, most signs are pointing towards Andrew Thomas out of Georgia for them to take him at 10. Jedrick Willis is another guy, and Mekhi Becton is another guy there. So you got 4 guys the Browns are primarily looking at. I would say just because those are the 4 highest, the highest rated guys coming out. But there's a lot of left tackles in this draft, and who knows if Isaiah Simmons is sitting there at 10, you got to take Isaiah Simmons because, 1, he'd be the best player on the board. 2, they need a linebacker. And 3, there's this second tier of linebacker that maybe if the Browns wanted to jump back in the first round, or maybe a guy like Ezra Cleveland out of Boise State is sitting there early on in the second round, and the Browns can take him there. So I think they have a game plan. I know what we think their game plan is, but with a new regime, you never know.
What do you think the chances are that Odell gets traded, or has that noise come and gone?
That noise has come and gone. It's come and gone. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they're sitting there going, hey, we've got Jarvis Landry, we've got Odell Beckham Jr., and by the way, we don't have to worry about him showing up for OTAs now, do we? We don't have to worry about that. That seems to be that's the big stick. Oh, wow, he wasn't here for OTAs. Oh, he wasn't here. Okay. All right, well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that now, so everybody can have the same complaint.
Andy, final question. So if they get a left tackle one way or another, is there a glaring need on this team, or is the rest of the draft just depth, and then finally guys just need to get it done? They need to perform.
The glaring need to me still is linebacker because, Mack Wilson had a good year in his first year last year. So Tony Takitaki was a guy that was drafted before him and just really never did anything last year. So linebacker is going to be a really, really interesting situation for the Browns next year. And, they want to just make sure that they fill some needs there. I think they're going to have to go out and go get another linebacker, or let's see how many linebackers they draft in the draft. I think that's another way to look at it. But even if you're drafting these guys, you're still going to be young. And there are Browns fans that wish that they would have kept Joe Schobert. So, but, is Schobert a guy who was a byproduct of an offensive or a defensive line that let guys through so that Schobert had a ton of tackles and led the team in tackles? I don't know. And we're going to find that out real quick. So, but I do think they're young at linebacker. They need help at linebacker. I think that could be a real weakness next year for them.
Well, Schobert and Blake Martinez were the 2 linebackers who had gaudy stats in which both their teams, the Browns and the Packers, let them go because they feel that they're just a product of the system. And obviously other teams thought, no, they're really good linebackers. The good thing, Andy, is Cleveland's still got money. They can sign some of these veteran free agents that are out there after the draft. They've got a lot more cash than a lot of teams do. So Andy, all the best to you and the family. Stay safe. Good luck. Thanks so much.
No, I'm going to go grab a beer in the teacher's lounge right now. All right, I'll see you.
Get after it.
Andy
Get after it, Andy.
92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Andy on Twitter at Andy_Baskin. He's just kind of in and out, and he's doing really well in phys ed.
In the Xbox. Yep.
That's a great scouting report.
That is
on the
really
teenage
something.
son right there. That's spectacular. Andy Baskin, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. We'll talk a little NBA after the top of the hour with Keith Smith of NBC Sports and Yahoo. Brian Costello will lead us in a Jets conversation in about 45 minutes' time. Our poll question is Dolphins draft-oriented. Very simply, should they draft Tua? Absolutely, positively, yes. No. The injuries scare the out of me.
The answer is yes.
Those
everyone.
are the options.
The answer is yes.
Yes, it is. The answer is yes. To me, it's no if it's Justin Herbert, though. I'm not a Herbert guy. I would get a tackle at 5 and just keep on keeping on. Maybe worry about a quarterback later on in the draft or, put it off for another year. 17 minutes now before 8 o'clock.
They can't. If they don't come out of this draft with a quarterback and we start the show on 2 weeks from today and the Miami Dolphins haven't drafted a quarterback, I can't wait to do that show. We're going to get phone calls, and we don't even get phone calls anymore.
Well, the Dolphins are one of a handful of teams that are, quote-unquote, doing a lot of homework on Jordan Love because, Mark, I believe that's one of those where if they can't get who they want at 5, then maybe they take Jordan Love at 18.
Perfect.
But I'm with you. They need to come out of this draft with a quarterback. But that's our poll question at that Mark Miller or at the David Moulton or millerandmoulton.com. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Today was the day when next on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. This morning, Southwest Florida has 22 new cases of COVID-19 and no deaths. Statewide, the total is just under 20,000 cases. Across the country, more than 500,000 confirmed cases. The FDA commissioner believes the U.S. is nearing its peak. Lee and Collier County students had the day off from e-learning again today for Easter Monday. Grab-and-go meal sites are open in Collier County. They'll reopen for Lee County students tomorrow. This week, the White House is launching a new task force focused on restarting the economy possibly by May 1st. President Trump will address the nation tonight at 5 p.m. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News, facts, not fear.
Guys, the physicians and staff at Center for Men's Health want you to know that C4MH.com is open and will remain open through this entire ordeal. C4MH.com has taken a multitude of steps to make their offices the safest places they can be. And here's a few examples that make that statement a fact. C4MH.com treats all offices with Microban 24, the most advanced antivirus disinfectant available today. And unlike any other disinfectant, Microban 24 kills viruses for 24 hours after application, touch after touch. The staff wears level 1 procedure masks, and you can have one too. They monitor their temperatures, and soon they'll do the same for you when you walk in the door. All pens and clipboards are antimicrobial, and when you walk in, you will use hand sanitizer. C4MH.com prepared for this early so that both their staff and patients remain safe. Safe is the way it's always been.
I am at the point where I want to mock
and
every commercial that brings up what they're doing to help with
These
COVID-19.
are unprecedented times. So now, Gulf Shore Life magazine is making an
At C4MH,
unprecedented
you will
offer
use hand
for a limited
sanitizer.
time.
If you
Subscribe
decide not
to
to,
Gulf
we will
Shore
pin
Life
your
for
ass to
just
the ground and
$12
pour
for
it
an
all
entire
over you.
year. That's 12 issues of the stories that will inspire you to stay Gulf Shore strong. It's our way of
At
saying
which point
thank
you'll
you
need
for
Blue
supporting
Emu.
local journalism. Call now, 498-8501.
The best deal you'll ever get.
498-8501.
Who knows if you'll ever be able to come outside again, but you'll be able to get Gulf Shore Light for $1 an issue. I could do commercials for 4 days on this stuff.
Dr. Jonathan France, a pioneer in LASIK surgery, and his expert team of surgeons at France Eye Care want to help you see your future in 2020. France Eye Care is offering $1,000 off bilateral LASIK. This is a huge savings, made even more affordable because financing is available. So when these clouds of confinement are lifted, rid yourself of those glasses and contacts and experience the freedom of LASIK so that you can see clearly as we drive far, far away to, well, the grocery store to pick up food and toilet paper. Make LASIK with France Eye Care the easy choice. Start the process today by scheduling your free consultation with no purchase obligation. Wishing you the very best of health from France Eye Care.
France Eye Care.
Our sound is a sound that makes you stop.
Stop.
And listen.
Listen to me and you listen well.
It's a collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts. Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here.
Get crazy, get wild.
On Fox Sports Radio.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myShowerDoor.com.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. LED color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light shows. You can see how dramatic it really is on our website. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
Here we go.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
No.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Ten minutes before 8 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. This show streams at foxsportsfm.com, and you can also watch Miller and Moulton on our YouTube and Twitch TV channels, the Miller and Moulton channels. Keith Smith to talk a little NBA coming up at the top of the hour, but right now it's time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and foxsportsfm.com.
All right, we get started today. 1933, David. The Rangers beat the Leafs 1-0 in overtime for a 3-1 series win. It was the first best of 4 final series. That's right, best of 4.
Wow. I figured when they won the series 3-1, it was a best of 5. Huh.
Still aggregate scoring going on in the 33 Cup. By 1940, David, that was over. Because also in Toronto, this time the Rangers beat the Leafs 3-2. They would win the series 4-2. It would take 54 years for the Rangers to hoist Lord Stanley again.
Mark, think about it. The Rangers have won one Stanley Cup in the last 80 years. One of the original 6 teams. And they're not awful. In fact, they're usually pretty good.
They're not the Knicks. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, the Knicks are terrible. They had a couple of different runs. But the Rangers have been the opposite of the Knicks. By and large, the Rangers have been an average to an above-average franchise most years.
Yeah, they're
perennial
usually pretty
playoff.
good.
Yeah.
Yes. They're just not often great. 1 in 80.
1942, Byron Nelson wins an 18-hole playoff by 1 over Ben Hogan to take the green jacket at the 9th Masters. 1949, the Basketball Association of America Finals. The Minneapolis Lakers beat the Washington Capitals to take the series. After the season, the BAA and the NBL would merge to create the NBA.
Nice.
Hank Aaron and the Baltimore Orioles both debuted today in 1954. The O's would lose to the Tigers. Hammer and Hank doesn't have numbers for him. Why they wouldn't give me those numbers, I don't know. 63, Pete Rose makes his debut. Triples for his first major league hit. That's pretty good.
He would go on to get 4,255 more.
1970, Billy Casper wins in an 18-hole playoff. It was the last 18-hole playoff at the 34th Masters in 1970. That same day, the Oakland Athletics opened the season with gold-colored bases. The Rules Committee bans the innovation because, well, baseball's really boring, and why on God's earth should Charlie Finley be able to brighten up the boring sport?
Those green and yellow jerseys with the gold bases. The yellow was supposed to be as close to gold as they could get. Yes, the A's were colorful back
And
in the
he
day.
had the Golden Seals in hockey and wanted them to wear white skates.
He was something.
Nicholas wins his 5th in 75. Think about that. It would be quite a while before he would get that 6th green jacket, one ahead of Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf. In 1980, Seve at 23 wins his first Masters, 4 ahead of... First off, I looked at the guys that he won against. I followed golf. I don't know who either of these guys are, David. Jack Newton and Gibby Gilbert.
Jack Newton, I believe, Australian.
Oh, if you say so.
I could be wrong, obviously, but I
could say he was green, and I'd say you were right. Pete Rose started with a triple. In 84, he becomes the first National League player on this date. He gets his 4,000th hit. Jack,
as an Expo, didn't he? Wasn't he an Expo when he got his 4,000th hit in 84? Played a year in Montreal. People forget that. In between Philly, all right, I think they played in the 83 World Series. He goes to Montreal in 84, and the Reds acquire him, I believe, from Montreal so he could finish his career there.
Jack wins his 6th today in 86. Tiger wins his 1st today in 97. It would also be a sad day for some in 97 because it would be the last game for the Hartford Whalers. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, little brass bonanza for those of you Wales fans. It was also Lemieux's last game in 97. Bubba wins his 2nd Masters in 14. And a year ago, Greg Popovich surpasses Lenny Wilkens to become the all-time winningest coach in NBA history with his 1,413th victory. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Thomas Jefferson. I mean, that's pretty good. Butch Cassidy as well. Outside of that, not a lot of important people born today, David. Got to be really honest with you. It's a pretty boring day.
All right.
A lot of Masters going on there, but not a lot of famous people born today. What's his name there? Gary Kasparov, the chess player from Russia. That's about it. You know, Jefferson, Cassidy, and a chess player. There you go. Today was the day here on April the 13th.
That's quite the law firm there of Jefferson, Cassidy, and Kasparov.
Yes.
All right. It's
yes.
quite the law firm.
Handling all your COVID-19 claims.
You know, I wonder if Popovich has coached his last game.
I think so.
I in the back of my mind, I always wondered if this was going to be his last season with the Spurs, and then in theory he was going to do the Olympics, and then he was just going to move into the front office or what have you. And because the Olympics have been pushed back a year, does that make him coach another year? Now, they could resume the regular season, obviously. I'm operating under the assumption that we're just going to go straight to the playoffs. But
if we have playoffs.
That's true.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you that I think there are going to be, David. Sorry to interrupt. I think there are going to be, but I think we're making a hell of an assumption just saying there's going to be NBA and NHL playoffs.
Keith Smith covers the league for NBC Sports and Yahoo. He will join us coming up on the other side of the top of the hour. And there is something that we have yet to mention that took place in the last 72 hours. That was actually a fairly big deal. And we will mention it on the other side as well.
Now I'm really intrigued. That. You've got me. I'm staying with us during the break. I'd go on to Twitch TV, just figure out what David's talking to. Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports! The coronavirus has changed our lives.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Who would have ever thought we'd see a day when sports would stop?
It's not about your brackets or who's going to win March Madness. It's sort of about getting through this.
Fox Sports Radio will continue to keep you informed on all
just these first spots are getting to me.
Well, that's because you've heard them a lot.
I know. That's all.
But, all right, let me re-up the water here.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us, 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Fox Sports Radio, proudly supporting our local Southwest Florida restaurants. Here's a Fox Sports Radio takeout shout-out.
This is Nick at Blue Point in the Bell Tower Shops. Our phone number is 239-433-0924.
And thank you to all the businesses that are working hard to keep us going. From Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, hashtag Gulf Shore Strong. The sports station with balls. And strikes. We also have strikes. WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health.
Got your caller.
C4MH.com. There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it.
Miller? This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug group.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple minutes past 8 o'clock on this third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, the 13th of April. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We stream the show at foxsportsfm.com. You can see and hear the show as well on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Brian Costello covers the Jets. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour as we continue to look ahead to the NFL Draft, which is a mere 10 days away now. But Keith Smith's kind enough to join us once again. He covers the NBA for many a place, including most prominently Yahoo. You can find Keith on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Are you and the family, everybody holed up in Orlando, doing okay?
Yeah, we are. We're doing all right. I think we're going a little stir crazy, and might start climbing the walls here a bit. My daughter misses her soccer team quite a bit, but she's back at the virtual school and all that, so we're hanging in there. How about y'all?
Well, 3 hours away, many a similar thought.
Wait a minute, virtual school. See, I am my daughter's kindergarten instructor outside of 2 Zoom meetings a week with the teacher. Virtual school? I mean, you're just putting her in front of and someone's teaching her? That's terrific.
Yeah, it's actually going pretty good. They only do a couple live meetings a day, but then the rest of it is their work, and the teachers are available by the chat function on their little website there, and it seems to be going pretty good. So thank God, because I was really struggling with those 4th grade fractions because they do not do math the way I learned it.
I have been. That is my biggest fear. It is the one thing that I've heard from people, because kindergarten is just kindergarten, but this new math has many a parent. Put it this way, Keith, harder to figure out new math or the NBA salary cap?
Oh, new math for me by far and away.
Keith's kind enough to join us. Follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. First off, and you were quite witty on Twitter talking about, hey, I now get to say I covered horse on my resume, so that'll really help you going forward. But how'd you think the horse challenge on ESPN last night, how do you think it worked or didn't work? Because they're going to have the semis and the finals on Thursday night. Did it work?
I think it largely did work. It was a little bumpy, especially the first matchup, Trae Young and Chauncey Billups. I jokingly wrote for NBC Sports that it looked like they filmed it on flip phones from the turn of the century. Like, it just was rough. It didn't look very good. But as it went on, the matchups got a little more interesting. I thought the rapport was pretty good between the players and the announcer, Mark Jones. I thought they all did a pretty good job with that. I thought they did a nice job kind of splicing in those stories in between. So overall, I think it more or less worked. It's not something I think anybody would want to watch on any kind of regular basis. But right now, when you're sports starved, I think it was kind of fun. I'd like to see the players get a little more creative, though, in the next round. When I play horse, I throw up hook shots and behind the head shots and all sorts of backwards things and things like that. And it was a lot more of just, straight jumpers and stuff like that.
Totally with you. I mean, let's see who can go left over and over from the free throw line or underhand or some of the silly stuff. This worked better than the 2K stuff because, well, turns out that was taped and some people may have taken advantage of this. I think the glitches, I said this earlier, Keith, I thought the glitches at least let us know everything was happening live. And in a world where we're all dealing with a lot of glitches, it's actually okay to let your guard down, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things where, hey, it happened. I want to say it was both Paul Pierce and Chris Paul commented on how it had been raining where they are, which is a little odd in the Los Angeles area for this time of year, but they commented on that. So I think it really gave us a little bit of insight into what the mindset is like for these current players as well as the broadcasters, the WNBA players. It was that part for me was probably the most fun of it all. The basketball and the shooting competition, that was just kind of the framework to get to that.
For those that either didn't watch or missed it, Zach Levine beat Paul Pierce. Mike Conley beat Tamika Catchings. Allie Quigley of the Chicago Sky beat Chris Paul. And Chauncey Billups edged out Trey Young. So Levine, Conley, Quigley, and Billups in the semis and finals Thursday night, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Keith, based on the people that you've talked to around the league, if I give you thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down, where is the league right now in terms of we think we're at least going to give it a shot and try to play?
Yeah, it keeps vacillating between thumbs sideways and thumbs up from everybody I talk to. You hit them on the right day, and maybe the news reports are a little more optimistic, and they start to feel a little more optimistic that they can get this season back in some form or fashion. Everybody knows it's not going to be 82 games, and it's not going to be anything like what we're used to, but they believe they can put something together that will allow them to crown a champion that we all feel pretty good about, and we're not sitting there saying, well, they won in that weird 2020 season when we had the coronavirus. They feel like they can put that together. You catch them on the wrong day, and it starts to sound like it might be a little later. That's the challenge. Everything I've been told is they feel like they have to be wrapped up right around Labor Day. It could go a little bit beyond that, but if it's not wrapped up around Labor Day, you're really starting to push too much into next season, and that's what the NBA is very conscious of. Is if they're going to lose a chunk of this season, they'd rather not make it be, all right, well, now we're going to lose a chunk of this one and the next one, and really it's 3 years from now before we're settled back into a normal NBA season. So that's something that they're constantly weighing and looking at.
Well, Keith, I think the question we've asked, if there is a league that could change the way they do business, it's the NBA. For a lot of us, the NBA has done a really good job of saying we own Christmas Day. And there are a lot of people, myself included, who kind of think the NBA season starts on Christmas Day, not the month and a half before, of which I don't pay any attention. This season's going to go till Labor Day if they finish it, Keith. What are the chances of the NBA looking at this and going, baseball's dropped off. It's more regional than it's ever been. We could own July and start on Christmas. Could the NBA fundamentally change their business model coming out of this of when they play games?
Yeah, I think they could. We know that at the sports conference at MIT, the Sloan Conference, one of the Atlanta Hawks owners pitched the idea of basically shoving the whole calendar back by about 2 months. That was his idea, where you'd start about mid-December with really kind of taking Christmas as, kind of your big showcase, and we're really starting the season and it's getting going, but it's also not the first, games of the season. And then everything would move back about 2 months. That gets them clear with the vast majority of the NFL season. You're still going to compete with the last couple weeks of the regular season and the playoffs. But one of the things that the NBA looks at and says is, well, where we feel like we already do kind of own July as a calendar month anyway, because it's free agency to kick off the month. Then we have Summer League right after that. And that really takes us all the way up to the start and opening of NFL training camp. And that's the thing that they're conscious of. One of the challenges that I've been told is the regional sports contracts. There are 20 markets where the same broadcaster broadcasts the local NBA team and the local MLB team. Now, when you're talking about 2 weeks in April, that's not a big deal. You can figure that out. They shove those games off to alternate channels or whatever the case may be. But now you're going to be talking months of that, and that's a challenge. Some of those teams have written in their contracts with those channels how often they can appear on the alternate channel in that. And both the NBA and MLB, they're going to be selfish with themselves. They're not going to at all care about the other league and how that works, and that they're going to want their team in the prime channel in the place where it's available. And even in some of those markets, the major cable provider, the alternate channel is not really a thing for them. So that's something that is one of the major question marks that will need to be worked out before we can look at any kind of permanent shift. That said, there are those in the league who think, hey, maybe if this thing forces us to start in mid-December next year, that's not the worst thing. It's kind of a nice grand experiment that we're going to get to take a look at and see how it works.
Well, TV money drives many a train in professional sports, though. So that what you brought up there is a big stumbling block. It could lead, though, to a lot more teams starting up their own networks, kind of like what the Cubs have just done and other baseball teams have done. Maybe that's where the NBA goes in the not-so-distant future. We're talking the association with Keith Smith, NBCSports.com, Yahoo, other outlets. Follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Back to the thought of this being a legitimate, not a quirky season. We had that strike year of '99, in which, what was it, 50 games? And nobody looks at that Spurs championship as a fluke. Now, maybe it's because they ended up winning 4 more, but nobody, discredits the '99 San Antonio Spurs. We had some playoff results in and around it that maybe wouldn't have happened if it wasn't a 50-game season. But to me, Keith, if you're not going to play a full 82, why come back and play any regular season at all? I mean, Keith, you're in Orlando. The Magic have a 5.5-game lead over whoever it is for the final playoff spot. We know who the 8 playoff teams are in the East. And for that matter, Memphis has a 3.5-game lead over a trio of teams for the final playoff spot in the West. I mean, what do you think is the likelihood that the NBA, if it comes back, just comes back with the playoffs?
Yeah, I think that there is a couple things that are at play there from what I've been told. One is they would ideally love to get to 70 games because that is kind of the minimum. Those local TV contracts, that's kind of the minimum trigger for the vast majority of those deals. So that's where they would like to, and they're not that far off that. That's a couple weeks worth of games for the vast majority of the league. Now, the other thing is what I think they're really looking at is you're going to come back. You're going to do this ramp up of anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to get players in shape. Then they're going to do a regular season, which is shortened. It might only be 5 to 8 games total, but really treat those a little bit more like preseason games for the teams. Those teams that are established playoff teams, they can just kind of let their guys play, get back into rhythm. Those teams that are, clinging to hope of maybe getting in more on the Western Conference side, they do that. I've been told they can look at, do we adjust the schedule to make sure that those Western Conference matchups mean more so that those games get in there and they're going to actually help us really identify. So that's the things that they're looking at. But the vast majority of what they're motivated by is saving the NBA playoffs and saving it in some form and fashion of what we're used to. They rejected a single elimination tournament out of hand because that would be immediately everyone would say, well, that champion, they only won that because it was like the NCAA tournament that year. They don't even really want to go to best of 3 or best of 5 series if they can avoid it. That is on the table if need be. But one of the things that they're looking more into is, well, in the playoffs, there's no back-to-back, but there might need to be this year, get some back-to-backs in there. That allows more 7-game series. That's the most important thing that they're trying to conserve.
That whole thing just bums me out, hearing the just infatuation with best of 7. I guess as someone who grew up watching best of 5 series go to 5 games and mean something, I know the best team wins the best of 7, and that's why they've done it. But, man, I think they're missing out on some drama elements this year, and I think I'd be with them. A one-and-done tournament sounds ignorant, but getting back to some best of 5s, to me, isn't that damaging. Why does the league feel that a best of 5 or a best of 3 is so damaging, Keith?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things at play. We talked about it earlier. It's the TV money. They want as many games on TV as possible so that they can really fulfill that obligation there and make the most money off it. The second is, which is, should be the primary motivator, but I don't think it is. Money generally is, as with most things, is that they want to make sure that they crown the best champion possible. Now, there are people who are big proponents of just in a regular year going back to best of 5 in at least the first round because they like that drama. They like that, ability. There's been proposals put out there of we'll do best of 5, but the higher seed gets 4 games at home. and that's the way to do it, and those kind of things, so that they still have that pretty significant advantage, but you do have that little bit of that variance in there. So that's out there. I think there is the potential we could see that resume for this year. And the thing with the NBA, I think more than most leagues, is they're a little willing to experiment and say, hey, this is the hand we've been dealt. Let's deal with it and figure it out and look at what it ends up looking like, which, and then some of those things they may take and put into play in the future, because I think that is something that they, are viewing this as, like I said, it's a grand experiment. Let's figure it out for this year. But if it works, hey, maybe we can introduce that down the line.
Keith, thanks for your time and your insight. All the best to you and the family. Stay safe, and hopefully we can talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I hope you all stay safe as well.
Keith Smith, NBC Sports and Yahoo. Follow him on Twitter, Keith Smith NBA. Hunkered down in Orlando, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Brian Costello, talk a little Jets heading into the draft in about 15 minutes' time. But, Mark, we would be remiss because, we've mentioned whether it was the horse challenge, Drew Brees signing with NBC as to when his playing days are done. We, mentioned a few other things that have happened in the sports world since we were last on the air until today. But the one thing that took place in the middle of the day on Friday, which came out of nowhere, was the XFL folded. And no one in the XFL knew it was coming. Talked with Mark Trestman, head coach and GM of the Vipers, on Saturday, and he said, shocked. Crushed was actually the word he used. Absolutely crushed. So, and Vince is said, at least to those in the XFL, I got no plans of, giving this a try when the whole COVID-19 thing's done. By the way, this is it. So it ends up being one and done, and not even a full one and done.
No, it goes the way of the AAF.
Correct.
Of a mid-season fold.
And they played actually less games than did the AAF. And they had a good television agreement with ESPN and Fox.
They had decent television numbers.
Yep.
There was nothing about the product that said it would fold. Now, I don't know if it would have ever made money. I truly don't.
I don't think so.
I never
really
did.
Don't. Right.
I never did. But
right. But we talk all the time, or we have in the last month, what leagues are going to change because of the coronavirus and what leagues are going to fail because of the coronavirus. This, to me, is the first league that shut down because it's not just Vince, in my opinion, looking forward to, well, heck, we may be uncertain in the winter of 2021 as to whether or not, this is still out there and whether or not we're going to be able to play. To me, this is the coronavirus has impacted his other business in
There's
a big
no
way.
doubt.
And so he had put whatever the money was, $250 million, whatever it was, he had put to the side to have the XFL make it. Well, he was counting on the rest of his empire still generating the cash it normally does.
Right. This is what may happen with the Miami Heat. This is what may happen with the Houston Rockets. The owner of the Rockets is it Landry's Seafood Company? I mean, he has thousands of restaurants. He has 30,000 people, I believe, or 300,000 people that he laid off already. Aronson owns the cruise line. I mean, this is how they keep their sports teams afloat.
Right. Right. The sports teams are largely a vanity play. They make money. They don't make money. They're fine with it because their empire, if I lose a few $1 million, I can handle it. Well, not if my empire is on shaky ground.
Now, for the Heat or the Rockets or any other franchise that may have this, someone will be there to buy it. Someone always has the money. And as David says, it's a vanity play. So the franchises won't lose value the way that we've seen airlines lose stock value or techs lose stock value through all of this. They will not take the same type of hit because there are just so few of them. But we could see ownership change when this is all said and done. There is no doubt that what the XFL is saying is that there could be ownership change. Where I would be far more worried about teams is at the minor league level.
Absolutely. And we said that we thought at the major league level we could see some ownership change, but we wondered what minor leagues may go away or what fledgling, even professional leagues at the highest level. Like, once again, there's a women's professional soccer league, and they had just put together some nice contracts and some nice sponsorship. How could you not with this great group of players that you have right here to market? Well, the Olympics push back another year. Obviously, corporations, or some of them, are not going to be spending anywhere near the money that they have spent in the past. And so you wonder if leagues like that, never mind minor leagues. I mean, listen, I'm hoping to get on, Bob Arablo back from the Mighty Muscles here. I mean, imagine, Mark, you buy the team. Whether you made changes to the name and the logo or not, but you just bought the team. I don't know if they've played a game under the new ownership. I think the sale took place after last season.
Correct.
So if baseball, they've got this plan, Mark. One of them out there is maybe teams will play in their minor league ballparks in Arizona and Florida. Well, if Hammond Stadium's occupied for the Twins, when are the Mighty Muscles going to be able to play? I mean, there may not be a Florida State League season this year, even if there's a major league season this year.
100%. I mean, little thing. Yes, David. The G League, they have their season going on. I mean, there are a lot of other leagues out there. I've been thinking, here's the MLS, which is where I would have been putting my money 10 years ago. I was the one that said, get in on this. Yes. This is going to boom. And because of that, there's all these other, and we've talked on this show, are we a tier 2 soccer market? We've kind of joked around about trying to get franchises. That whole North American Soccer League, or whatever the hell it's called, the tier 2 league, how are these franchises going to survive? If people aren't going to be, if we are under the assumption, based on the polling, not just our little silly one, but nationwide, that fan bases are very apprehensive to go back. Well, we've already said the NFL, the NBA, they're fine. They're TV sports. Golf, NASCAR, fine. But the majority of sports require people to walk in the doors for these teams to make a profit. If we're all apprehensive about going out, what's the trickle-down effect to the rest of these sports franchises?
I mean, I would think, just off the top of my head, if I owned a minor league baseball team, if we can't sell tickets to the games, I would rather not play. Because I'm guessing I would lose more by opening my doors than I would if I kept them locked. Miller and Moulton. 24 minutes past 8 o'clock. We'll switch gears and talk a little NFL. Brian Costello covers the Jets for the New York Post. We'll talk to Brian in a few moments here on Miller and Moulton. Our poll question deals with the Dolphins. If you were them, would you draft Tua? Yay or nay? Now, we threw in a few other words in and around it, but that's basically the poll question. 10 days out from the first round of the NFL draft, if you're the Dolphins, do you take the risk and draft Tua? That's our poll question at the Mark Miller, or actually that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and millerandmoulton.com. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
We made it through March Sadness, but we're going to answer the question everyone is asking. What TV show is most binge-worthy? The Sopranos? Game of Thrones? Seinfeld? Let your sheltered voice be heard.
May have had one of the greatest whiffs in the history of whiffs on Saturday.
Really?
I hit my drive right on this par 5, and I'm literally in between 3 palm trees. And I've got a 4-iron, and I'm, bringing the club back, trying to make sure I miss the tree. And it's close. And I know it's close. About 5 or 6 of these. So I pull the club back, go to swing, and I'm trying to rip this 4-iron. And I must have looped my swing a little bit and caught part of the tree on the downswing. Wish someone would have been filming it, David. I took about an 18-inch divot 4, 5, 6 inches left of the golf ball with a turned club. My hand still feels like I punched somebody because I hit the tree so hard with my right hand. The momentum then brought me into the tree where the shoulder went into the tree, and I nearly fell over. And one of my playing partners, Greg McCall, is the only one to see it. He just looked at me and goes, "Are you okay?" And I didn't even respond. I'm just kind of down in a crouch. But it was it's the best whiff I've ever had.
Nice. Well done.
Yep.
Steak, afternoon or evening, it's going to be a wonderful experience at Chard. Jimmy
What'd you
P's
make?
Chard on South US 41 in Bonita Springs. Jimmy P's Butcher Shop on Old US 41 in Bonita Springs. Online at jimmypschard.com. Welcome to Jimmy P's Chard. Stop in today and tell them Jimmy sent you.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water. 103.3 Cape Coral. We are Buzzworks.
Ever purchased an online item and either it doesn't fit, has missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few bucks can end up costing more. My Shower Door is a locally owned and operated family business that measures, manufactures, and installs our own brand of frameless shower doors right here in Southwest Florida. And we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. With almost 80,000 shower doors installed, we have the experience and expertise. Plus, estimates are always free. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec Wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
It's 29 minutes past 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. The good, the better, and the best coming up in roughly 20 minutes' time, along with another edition of Takeout Shoutout to try to promote local businesses through this trying times. Brian Costello is kind enough to join us. He covers the Jets for the New York Post and for WFAN in New York. You can follow Brian on Twitter at Brian Coz, C-O-Z. Brian, normally we ask people how are they faring, how are they holding up during these tough times, but we want to offer our condolences to you and everyone at the New York Post. You lost a beloved colleague yesterday, Anthony Causey, to the coronavirus, and I didn't want to just ask you how are you doing during these times without offering our condolences.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anthony was
special guy, a great photographer, and a great guy, and we're all, having a tough time at the Post right now. This thing is touching everybody in the country, and it kind of hit home for us with Anthony.
Well, it's touched everybody in the country, but obviously New York is the epicenter. Brian, I don't know how you can be positive coming off of news like that, but anything on the weekend, are there any spirits starting to lift? Before we get to the Jets, because we can talk about football all day long with you, but being in New York, are you seeing any signs of hope? Are some of the stories that we're seeing, the numbers going down, do the New Yorkers feel like they're getting closer?
Yeah, but it still feels a long way away. The numbers of people going in the hospitals going down, but the deaths are still very high every day. I think until those numbers drop, it's going to be hard to really feel too positive about things. But my approach to this thing is that you can't think too far in the future, because you start driving yourself crazy when you start thinking about when this might end and when we can come back to normal life, or whatever normal life will be like after this. So it's just kind of taking it day by day right now, and I think it's hard to stay positive, but everyone's trying.
And yet Brian has a day job, which he's still actively doing because the NFL draft is just 10 days away. Brian Costello of the New York Post and WFAN, kind enough to join us. I think the Jets are in an interesting spot in the draft, that there are certain teams that could begin runs. Like, first off, what will the Lions do at 3, with the quarterbacks? But then you get down to, then we think some offensive tackles are going to go. What are the Jets thinking at 11? Are they going to draft an offensive tackle? Because goodness knows their line needs it. Or do you think the Jets at 11 start the run on wide receivers?
I think it depends on what happens ahead of them. I think ideally they'd like to get a tackle to protect Sam Darnold. Their line was terrible last year. They had about 52 sacks. They were 32nd in the NFL on offense, and a large part of that was because their offensive line just didn't open holes for Le'Veon Bell and couldn't really protect Sam Darnold in some games. So I think they'd love to take a tackle. Now, it's pretty clear that there's 4 tackles in this draft that are head and shoulders above the rest of them, and some of these mock drafts have 4 tackles going in the top 10. There's also a chance that the Jets have 3 ranked ahead, that they don't like the 4th tackle, and then they would only want 3 of them, and that's something I don't know. I haven't seen the draft board, obviously. So when it gets to 11, it's going to be a question of, what tackles are available, and is there one that they still like there? And if not, then I think maybe they draft a wide receiver, and like you said, that could be the beginning of a run on wide receivers with the Raiders behind them and looking for a receiver. I think the 49ers could even draft a receiver. So they could start a run there if that's the way they want to go.
If the tackle's not there and somehow, some way, a quarterback slipping or somebody slipping, would the Jets entertain trading down? Or if the tackle's not there, because there are so many needs, receiver being one of them, as you mentioned, Brian, do they have to just stay at 11?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision for Joe Douglas, because the Jets have so many holes. You can basically look at the roster, and other than maybe 2 or 3 positions, say they can take a player at that position. They need a player at that position. So I think if Joe Douglas, isn't in love with a player 11 and someone wants to jump up there, I think he will be very open to it. He spent 15 years with the Ravens. That's where he learns his craft under Ozzie Newsome, and Ozzie Newsome was always very good at moving around in the draft and getting more picks. That's the Baltimore philosophy, is kind of take as many swings as you can at this. So I think he wouldn't hesitate to move back if the right offer presents itself.
He's Brian Costello, New York Post, WFAN in New York. Follow him on Twitter at Brian with an I, Coz, C-O-Z. How come Joe Douglas hasn't spent more money this offseason? I mean, this is one of the few moves the Jets have made as an organization in recent years that was universally praised, was the hiring of Joe Douglas. Yeah. And this, he didn't get a chance to take a bite at the draft and free agency last year. He got acquired, after the draft. I was surprised, to say the least, that the Jets, with as many holes as you reference, didn't spend at least, decent money, some money, make more moves. I mean, why?
Well, there's a couple things. I think he had a choice. They had about $50 million in cap space when things got started. And that sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you start breaking it down with all the holes the Jets had. So I think his choice was, do I go out and buy a really expensive piece, one piece, and then maybe I can only add 3 or 4 more players? Or do I spread this money around within the kind of the second tier of free agency? And he picked the latter. He signed they signed 15 players, so they didn't make a lot of moves. They just didn't make a lot of splashy moves. And now they're down. They're like around $10 million cap, so it's not like he's hoarding the money.
Right.
They will get $11 million in June once Jermaine Johnson comes off the books. And I also think his philosophy that free agency does not really work. That's not the way you build a team. If you look at the Ravens again, like I referenced, that's where he learned. Ravens don't spend money in free agency usually. They signed Earl Thomas last year. That was the biggest contract they'd ever given out in free agency. They make trades. You get Calais Campbell. They do that kind of thing. They don't usually throw around the biggest money in March. So I think it's philosophical, and I also think it was practical that they just didn't have the cap space. And also last year the Jets spent $130 million. They set an NFL record. They spent $130 million in guaranteed money. You can't do that every year. I don't care. Even if you're worth $10 billion, like that's just not the way it works. Usually, the people do that one year and then they do it a couple years later. It also blew up in their face because Le'Veon Bell didn't have a good season. C.J. Mosley was hurt the entire season. So, I think ownership was kind of taken aback after last year, that spending spree, and it didn't work out. So I think it was kind of philosophical and also practical. They couldn't really throw a lot of money around this time.
Brian, that being said, is there a position that you think in the free agent moves that they made where you go, yep, they're better here now?
Center. I think Connor McGovern is a good starting center. Last year they had a combination of Ryan Khalil, who came out of retirement, and he never really clicked chemistry-wise with the Jets and kind of couldn't get his feet back under him. And then they had Jonathan Harrison, who's more of a backup. So I think at center they're definitely better. But you're right. I mean, other positions I don't look at it and go, man, they're really better at this spot. Center's the only one. His philosophy on the offensive line is he threw volume at it. He signed a bunch of guys, and I think their ideal is come in, have them all compete, and start the best 5 guys who come out of this mix. Now, will those 5 guys all be top, linemen? Probably not, but that's what he's trying to do, and I think they'll add another one in the draft, at least one.
Is there any concern in Florham Park about Sam Darnold?
No, not in Florham Park. I think the fan base concern might be strong. I think the fan base has questions still. But the people inside the Jets believe in him. They feel like they've seen enough signs that they know he's going to be a good quarterback. Now they know they just have to build around him and give him some help. Give him a better offensive line, give him some more weapons, and they feel like he's going to blossom. But we'll see if they're right. It's been hard to judge him through 2 years because the team has been so bad around him. And then he had the mono thing last year, which really messed up the season for a while. So, it's hard to come away with after 2 years and say you definitely know what Sam Darnold is.
With the money they had and not going out there, was there ever an opportunity to keep Anderson? I mean, I think that guy's a pretty good receiver. He ended up not getting the money that I think he thought he was going to get. So it kind of surprised me that maybe the Jets never at the last minute tried to keep him. How close was that to staying?
Yeah, I was surprised too. Because I thought if he got big money, if he got $14 million a year or higher, the Jets were going to be out. They were not going to do it, and I thought that was probably smart to let him go for that. But he only got 2 years, $20 million, and when you really look at that contract, it's a 1 year, $12 million deal, which to me is not crazy money. I would have kept him for that. I don't know if I would commit to Robbie Anderson long term, but I think a 1 year, $12 million deal is what to do. I don't really understand why they decided not to do that. I think they just decided they were ready to move on from him, but it was surprising to me, and I think Robbie Anderson's worth that kind of contract.
Talking the Jets with Brian Costello, New York Post and WFAN in New York. All right, Jets pick at 11. They pick at 48. They've got 2 third-round picks, including a high third because of the deal with the Giants. Let's just assume they come out of it with a wide receiver and a starting offensive tackle. They'll get 2 starters out of their top 4 picks, if you will.
Yep.
How good are the Jets then entering 2020 in your estimation? If they have a rookie wide receiver and they have a rookie offensive tackle, you plug and play starters. All right, we go into 2020. Where are they in the division personnel-wise? 2nd, 3rd, 4th? What do you think their personnel is?
I'd probably put them 3rd or 4th, depending on what New England does. New England's hard to judge right now because not only did they lose their quarterback, but they lost a lot of other players. They lost a lot of guys from their defense. So I'm kind of have a hard time even knowing New England is right now. And the Miami added a lot of players, so they're going to look different. So I think they'd probably be down in that area. They're definitely way behind the Bills. That's what's clear. To me, they're probably 6-win team, 7-win team maybe at best. Right now, if you add those 2 players, they still have so many holes. You didn't mention edge rusher. They don't have an edge rusher right now.
No.
They haven't had in 15 years. Cornerback, right now their starting cornerbacks would be Pierre Desir, and then you can stick your hand in the hat and pick out from Arthur Millette or Bless Austin, and these unproven guys. So that's scary too. I think the key to this question is Sam Darnold, like we talked about before. Does he make a big step forward in year 3? Can he stay healthy for 16 games and really, does he do better in year 2 of Adam Gase's offense? That he's knows the offense now and comes in. Can he really make a leap in year 3? That would change everything. That's really the key. Sam Darnold is going to be the key to this whole thing for the Jets. How much can he carry this team?
Brian, once again, our condolences at the loss.
Thank you.
You guys suffered at the New York Post yesterday. All the best to everyone in the New York metropolitan area. Hopefully we can talk again after the draft.
Appreciate it. Stay safe.
As well.
Brian Costello covers the Jets for the New York Post and WFAN. They lost a very popular 48-year-old photographer, Anthony Causey, yesterday to the coronavirus. So that is what we are speaking of. You can follow Brian on Twitter, Brian with an I, Coz, C-O-Z. I think the Jets are a mess, an absolute mess. And I really believe personnel-wise, they'll be on paper, I think they'll be the worst team in the division when the draft's over. I really believe that. I think they're a mess.
I don't disagree with you, David. I mean, look, if you were to pick 3rd place right now, because we're so unknown with New England. But I'm sorry, I'll still pick them to be 1st or 2nd because, well, Belichick's still the coach. I have more faith in the Dolphins than I do the Jets right now.
I do as well.
Wow. I said that out loud.
As well. I know.
I'm going to go drug test myself.
And I agreed with you.
I'm going to go drug test myself during the break.
The Dolphins are the focus of our poll question at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or MillerandMoulton.com. Should they draft Tua? Absolutely yay or absolutely nay? Those are our choices. Miller and Moulton. The good, the better, and the best. And today's version of Takeout Shoutout as we put this Monday, April 13th edition of Miller and Moulton to bed. Thanks so much for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. This morning, Southwest Florida has 22 new cases of COVID-19 and no deaths. Statewide, the total is just under 20,000 cases. Across the country, more than 500,000 confirmed cases. The FDA commissioner believes the U.S. is nearing its peak. Lee and Collier County students have the day off from e-learning again today for Easter Monday. Grab-and-go meal sites are open in Collier County. They'll reopen for Lee County students tomorrow. This week, the White House is launching a new task force focused on restarting the economy, possibly by May 1st. President Trump will address the nation tonight at 5 p.m. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News, facts, not fear.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Our service and parts departments are open for business. Now's a great time to bring your vehicle in for service at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams in stock. 2019 Ram 1500 Tradesman. Now just $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month. And you own it with interest-free financing for 84 months. Qualifying purchases with no payments for 90 days. Almost every 2020 Jeep Wrangler at friends and family below invoice pricing. Best of all, at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers, we offer at-home test drives and at-home delivery at your convenience. That's right, 0% APR financing for 84 months on new Rams, Jeeps, and Dodges. Plus, at-home test drives and at-home delivery. Call today, drive today at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. $29.99 down plus tax, tag, and dealer fee. $299 per month for 84 months at 0% APR. Excludes Rubicon. Offers don't combine.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. LED color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light shows. You can see how dramatic it really is on our website. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water. 105.9 Naples.
We are Buzzworth.
These are unprecedented times, so now Gulf Shore Life magazine is making an unprecedented offer. For a limited time, subscribe to Gulf Shore Life for just $12 for an entire year. That's 12 issues of the stories that will inspire you to stay Gulf Shore strong. It's our way of saying thank you for supporting local journalism. Call now, 498-8501, 498-8501.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myShowerDoor.com.
There will be parties again soon and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Well, we've hit rock bottom.
Hey, let me say something. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
You know things are really bad when Waffle House is closed and Mark Miller has a positive attitude.
Let's pump the brakes there.
With that being said, here's our brand new bright and shiny segment. Mark Miller's The Good, The Better, and The Best. Man, I hope we get back to normal fast. This is weird.
You're live.
This music is just painful. I mean, just flat out painful. I don't know what else to say. Let's start in San Francisco, where Ben Ramirez lives on Pfeiffer Street. Has a little sign in his window. It says, free coffee. and wanted to do something. So anybody that's a mail worker, healthcare worker, he's just giving out free coffee. He says he has supplies. He had hoped to open a coffee house one day. He said this is some practice. He is using a toy gorilla to hand the coffee out the window to eliminate any human contact. So good for you, Ben, and your free coffee.
So only for,
I think anybody that wants it. Yeah, but
I was going to say, if I'm 4 houses down, I come over just to.
I think Ben's giving you coffee.
Just to wave, say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I mean,
have a cup. All right,
I like it.
It's a solid good.
Thanks for that, David. For the better, we'll go to Florida, where Justin Bradshaw is delivering packages to a home where a sign was posted that someone who lives there has an autoimmune disease, and just kind of letting people know with everything going on. So the door cam caught the FedEx driver with his handy wipes wiping down all of the packages. And Carrie Blasey shared the story on Twitter. Her 11-year-old daughter has type 1 diabetes, which makes her more susceptible to the effects of the coronavirus. The grateful mom says that single act made me forget about everything we have been going through since the 1st of March.
Beautiful.
And finally, the best. I love this story. One, because it's something that I could see you and I doing if we were this age. I know you're a map guy, David. You and I like maps. You know, I was the kid that read the atlas in the back of trips and just could memorize it. So this is the best takes us to Houston, where Brandon Smith celebrated his 12th birthday over the weekend. Usually he and Dad go hit some balls, go to the range. And that's something I always did with my dad, so just the start of that made me feel good. But obviously couldn't do that. So apparently he's a big geography buff. Dad said, it's my son's 12th birthday. I can't give him the party he deserves, but he loves geography. He would love it if you retweet or reply where you are so you can mark it. He can mark it on his map. He thought maybe he'd get 50 or 100 people to retweet this. Well, later in the day, Brandon was trending on Twitter. Turned out it went viral. Apparently thousands of people from all over the world, Jamaica, India, some Toronto Blue Jays, the governor of the Edinburgh Castle in Scotland joined in, and he had a little thank you on Twitter with thousands of people jumping in. Thought that was a really cool story, making a young kid's day. And that, David, is the good, the better, and the best on this 13th of April in the year that will never end. This is 2020.
479-5551 is how you can text us on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, 479-5551, because you can always text in your takeout shout-out for the local restaurant and business that you want to help promote, as we're trying to just lend a helping hand, a little free PR. Needless to say, the business community needs it these days. 479-5551 is how you can send it in via text. 479-5577 is how you can record your takeout shout-out message, much like these three did.
Daddy D's Ice Cream Stand in North Fort Myers on North Cleveland Ave. They have awesome ice cream, good prices, and they're open till 9 p.m.
This is the House of Omelets, open 7 to 3 p.m., 7 days a week. Takeout only, 239-673-7545.
Tacos y Ceviche is now open, and they're available for takeout or delivery, 239-887-3092. They're located in Fort Myers at Alico Road.
There you go. Make sure you let us know where you are. I understand, people, the name of the business and a phone number, and a phone number's, if you're going to give a phone number, give it slowly. Phone numbers are tough to remember. Name of the business, where you are, that would also help. But takeout shout-out, just trying to lend a helping hand. You can text them in at 479-5551, or you can record your message at 479-5577.
My guys at Wally's Deli are still slinging it. Got breakfast there yesterday. Tremendous food. Love that place. They do a great job. Want to give them a little shout out today. I've been, ventured out a little more for food. Like when I can just order online